The internet is rife with conspiracy theories on just about every subject matter under the sun. Some people believe the government is adding chemicals to their drinking water, that there's something going on out in space that we aren't being told about, or that extraterrestrials have been visiting Earth for centuries, to name but a few. In 1993, the English rock band Radiohead released their first studio album called Pablo Honey, and their first single, a song called Creep, immediately took the world by storm. They've since amassed a huge fan base and have released a further 8 studio albums, each of which is hailed by their fans as iconic. The band's frontman, Tom York, is known to be a friendly person, but he's drawn the ire of other celebrities in the past for his refusal to mingle with them. He defended his actions by stating that he felt he was living in a world where he was surrounded by grinning idiots, and that he kept to himself so that he wouldn't also become one. Radiohead has also been the focus of several conspiracy theories, one of which came about after they included the number 142-614-8550 on the cover of their Airbag How Am I Driving EP. Fans started speculating what it could mean, and they were eventually able to figure out that it was a number for a pager, and when they dialed it, they could hear the singer say hello. They were then encouraged to leave messages, which the band kept, stating that they might include them in songs in the future. In 2007, though, the band once again sent their fans into a speculative frenzy when they announced their 7th studio album called In Rainbows. They then revealed that the LP would be released just 10 days later, but their fans were surprised at the lack of promotional material. In the days that followed, fans noticed that the band was repeatedly using the letter X, and speculation started to run rife. It was generally believed that it represented the Roman numeral for the number 10, but they didn't know why it was being used. Then, the band decided to leak the entire album across 10 different servers, stating that their fans could download it at any price. They could even get it for free if they chose to do so. Eagle-eyed fans realized that the album was leaked exactly 10 years after the release of their 3rd album, OK Computer, and that the new album titled In Rainbows contained 10 letters. They then started suggesting that the 2 albums must be linked somehow, and when the new album was released, they found that the songs complemented each other. They also remembered that when the band was working on OK Computer, they used the working title Zeros and Ones. This led them to believe that binary code was involved, since the former album made reference to 01, and the latter had been promoted using 10. Upon listening to the 2 albums together, they found that some of the songs transitioned seamlessly into songs on the older album, though some people state that they had to use crossfading to get the effect to work. The recording of the album took a toll on the singer's mental health, and at one point, he became convinced that he could communicate with spirits. He believed that they were telling him to cut his hair, and he proceeded to do so, with the use of a small sharpened blade. The band found that their strange way of selling the album was a good idea, since fans paid what they thought the music was worth, and those who normally would not have been able to afford it could download the album for free. The band has won 6 Grammy Awards to date, and will likely continue to delight and confound their fans for many more years to come. Hearing the news that a train has derailed is always an anxious moment, since these types of accidents usually cause a lot of destruction and cost many lives. But one such incident that took place in Ohio in 2023 luckily didn't cost any lives, but it's now become the subject of a bizarre conspiracy theory. On the 3rd of February of that year, a Norfolk Southern train was traveling through an area near East Palestine in Ohio at around 9 p.m. when it derailed when a bearing on one of the hopper cars failed. This caused it to overheat and the train to come off the tracks at high speed. No one was injured in the incident, but there was still a high risk of danger, since 20 of the 150 cars were carrying hazardous materials, 11 of which were part of the derailment. The rest were loaded with materials such as steel, concrete, and frozen vegetables. 5 of the cars were loaded with vinyl chloride, which is used in the manufacture of PVC, and there were grave concerns for people living in the area, since they faced medical issues if the gas was inhaled, such as dizziness, headaches, and problems with breathing. Vinyl chloride is said to be associated with cancer if a person is exposed to it for prolonged periods, and it's also known to cause liver damage. During an investigation into the incident, it was discovered that some of the cars were carrying other chemicals that could also cause headaches and irritation to the nose, lungs, and throat. Many people in the area were evacuated, and some of the chemicals were destroyed by means of a controlled explosion, while firefighters had their hands full to contain fires caused by the accident. But they were able to bring them under control by the 8th of February. People in the area were told to drink bottled water until their normal water sources were tested and declared safe. But they were eventually assured that the water was once again potable. But residents of the area soon started complaining of headaches, nausea, and strong chemical smells in the air, and it took some time to convince them that they were out of harm's way. But then some TikTok users started spreading conspiracy theories that the entire country would soon see acid rain falling, thanks to the released chemicals, and this only gave rise to further strange theories. Some people speculated that the derailment was orchestrated to distract the public from other conspiracies, and TikTok users started uploading videos from other parts of the country that showed their cars covered in a strange dust that they claimed was caused by the chemicals in the air. Others claimed to have come across water sources that had a strange oily film floating on top, and also attributed this to the derailment, though they were unable to provide any proof that this was the source. But officials were quick to dismiss these claims, stating that vinyl chloride doesn't become acid rain, and that it could not be spread across the country by air currents. Many people blamed the rise of these conspiracy theories on a lack of communication from public officials, stating that this caused a lot of people to speculate among themselves while being ill-informed. Many people felt that these theories were being posted to TikTok, not out of concern for people's safety, but in a conceited effort to go viral. Still, many were taken in by the speculation, and it would take some time before they realized those theories had no basis in reality. The Rothschild family, one of the richest families in the world, originally hails from Frankfurt, Germany. They made most of their fortune in banking, and they adopted the belief that their wealth should be kept within the family, ensuring their prosperity for centuries. They then made a name for themselves across Europe, thanks to a series of smart investments, and soon became known as giants in the field of financial management. Before long, they'd opened branches of their company all over the world, including countries like France, England, Austria, Italy, and of course Germany. They soon branched out into different financial fields, including merchant and private banking, commodities, insurance, and asset management, to name but a few, and their fortune was secured for a very long time to come. It's estimated that the family is worth around 1.2 trillion today, though the exact figure isn't known. In modern times, they're involved with companies like Siemens, Exxon, Chevron, and Shell, among others, and the last head of the family was 87-year-old Jacob Rothschild, who passed away in February of 2024. But despite the family's massive financial success, and possibly because of it, they've been the subjects of several conspiracy theories, many of which are rather outlandish. One of the most prominent theories is that they were responsible for the Federal Reserve, and that they're in control of the entire global financial system, though this theory has been debunked. The very first conspiracy theory regarding the Rothschilds came about in 1846 in Paris, when an anonymous pamphlet claimed that Nathan Rothschild knew who would be victorious at the Battle of Waterloo. Though the battle had been fought 3 decades earlier and Nathan passed away 10 years earlier, this theory is still very much alive today. One of the first theories to appear online claimed that the family employed agents who worked for them all over Europe in order to expand their wealth and power even further. Others claimed that they were in league with the devil, along with the Rockefeller family. One conspiracy theorist went as far as to claim that Jacob Rothschild had a hand in the election of Barack Obama as the US president, and that this was orchestrated to ensure the complete financial collapse of the Western world. Survivalist James Gritz, who had amassed a following of far-right survivalists, claimed that the family was at the head of the New World Order, and that his followers needed to be aware that they would soon have their freedom taken away from them. Another of these theorists, Henry Mackay, claimed in 2004 that the war in Iraq was orchestrated with the sole purpose of further enriching the Rothschilds and to ensure their status as dictators of the entire planet. Sadly, many people are fooled by these theories and believe that the family either holds a ridiculous amount of political power, or that they're somehow about to take over the world with the help of one clandestine group or another. But unsurprisingly, the Rothschilds refrain from speaking to the media, since they feel the best way to address these outlandish claims is to not address them at all. But this has given rise to even more of these theories, as many people feel that their silence is a sign of guilt rather than an avoidance of confrontation. There's no doubt that many more theories about the Rothschilds will emerge in the years to come, and only time will tell whether they'll be addressed or ignored like the many that have been suggested in the past. Rihanna Fenty, the famous pop and R&B singer who hails from Barbados in the Caribbean, grew up listening to reggae and hip-hop, two genres that would eventually have a big influence on her singing career. While in high school, she and two of her friends started a girl group, and before long, she met a record producer named Evan Rogers, who helped her record her first demo. This led to the famous rapper Jay-Z hearing the demo, and before long, she was signed to the Def Jam record label. This kick-started her career, and she decided to go by her middle name, Rihanna, rather than her first name, which is Robin. She then released her first single, titled Pon de Replay, in 2005, and saw immediate success the world over. 3 months later, she released her first full-length studio album, entitled Music of the Sun, which also proved hugely popular. The next year, she released her second album, A Girl Like Me, and the song SOS topped the Billboard single charts. In the years to come, she collaborated with some of the biggest names in the R&B industry, including Jay-Z, Ne-Yo, Kanye West, Eminem, and even the pop rock group Maroon 5, ensuring her even more success. Her music career skyrocketed in the years that followed, and before long she branched out into acting, landing roles in the 2012 movie Battleship and This Is the End, which was released the next year. In 2008, she played the role of a hacker in Ocean's 8, and in 2019, she starred in the musical Guava Island, alongside Donald Glover. Having proved her talents for both singing and acting, she turned her attention to the cosmetic industry and launched a line of products under the Fenty beauty brand. In 2019, she released a clothing line called Fenty, but the line didn't do as well as expected, and before long production was halted. She remains one of the most iconic faces of the mainstream music industry, and has amassed millions of fans around the world. In 2018, she became the focus of a very strange conspiracy theory, when internet users started posting to TikTok and other social media, claiming that several videos of the singer prove that she's unable to wink. One ex-user started collecting and posting videos of Rihanna in an effort to prove the theory, and before long, thousands of people were talking about his claims. In the first of the videos, Rihanna was seen trying to wink during an interview, but it's clear that she closes both eyes instead of just one, resulting in a blink rather than a wink. During another interview, she tries again to wink, but closes both her eyes first and then opens one, resulting in what many people jokingly described as a reverse wink. Soon, many other fans jumped on the bandwagon and started posting other videos that they found, and each time her attempt at a wink failed. While it isn't the most thought-provoking conspiracy theory, people have spent thousands of hours poring over footage of the singer, and to date, no one has found any footage of Rihanna successfully winking. Making it in the music industry is no easy task. The amount of work and dedication needed to succeed in the industry is often underestimated by fans, and even when an artist is successful, it's just as hard to remain relevant and to produce quality music. But according to many legends, there's an easier way to master an instrument or to become a famous singer. One merely needs to find a crossroads, travel there at midnight, and make a deal with the devil. The deal is usually said to provide the musician with unmatched skill, but when they pass away, their soul will belong to the devil for all eternity. Some musicians who are rumored to have done this include John Lennon from the Beatles, Katy Perry, Eazy-E, and Snoop Dogg. The Italian violinist and composer Niccolo Paganini was so proficient at playing his instrument in the 19th century that people started speculating that he sold his soul to the devil, but it's now known that he suffered from Marfan syndrome, which made it possible for him to move his fingers in unusual ways while playing the violin. In more modern times, the trope of blues musicians selling their soul for talent and fame started with one man in particular, Robert Johnson, who became a well-known name in the Delta blues scene in the 1930s. A fellow blues musician called Son House once claimed that Johnson wasn't bad at playing the harmonica, but when it came to playing the guitar, he was completely hopeless, stating that he'd never heard such a terrible racket in his life. He was so bad, in fact, that people would often beg him to stop playing or ask that his guitar be taken away from him. Then, Johnson suddenly disappeared without informing anyone where he was going. A few weeks later, he suddenly reappeared in Mississippi and had inexplicably mastered the guitar, a skill that usually takes years to accomplish. The claim soon spread in the blues community and is still spoken about today. It's said that Johnson traveled to the crossroads at Highway 49 and 61 in Clarksdale, Mississippi, where he summoned the devil. Upon his arrival, he handed his guitar to the devil, who then retuned it and endowed him with great skill and technique in exchange for his soul. But if the conspiracy theory is true, which can of course never be proven, it didn't do Johnson much good. He spent most of his career traveling from place to place, playing his guitar and harmonica on street corners. He never saw much in the way of financial success, but is widely regarded by his fellow musicians as the first ever rock star, despite being a blues musician. He only made a few recordings a year before he passed away, but the songs are said to have a strange, haunting quality, the best known of these being Terraplane Blues. Even his passing is mired in conspiracy. It's said that he drank galls of whiskey while visiting a juke joint in Greenwood, Mississippi, not knowing that it was poisoned. According to the legend, his drink was poisoned by the jealous husband of a woman he'd flirted with. Johnson wasn't the most successful of blues musicians, but his influence is still felt by the genre today, with many contemporary artists citing him as a massive influence. But we'll likely never know for certain whether he did really make a pact with the devil. Most of us are aware that dinosaurs roamed the Earth at some point, but that non-avian dinosaurs then became extinct thanks to a cataclysmic event that affected the entire planet for a very long time. We now know that an asteroid, which is thought to have been between 6 and 9 miles in diameter, crashed into the planet somewhere near the Yucatan Peninsula in North America, and that the collision was as forceful as a 100 trillion ton TNT explosion. This caused massive amounts of debris to be launched into the atmosphere, and massive tidal waves battered the continent's coast. Rocks that were originally situated about 15 miles underground were raised to the surface, resulting in the Himalayan mountain range being formed. While we can't be 100% certain about all these facts, scientists are confident that these events took place and that the asteroid was responsible for the demise of the dinosaurs. But as with any good conspiracy theory, not everyone is convinced, and over the years, many theories have been posited as an alternate explanation. In 1925, a paleontologist named George Wyland suggested that the ancestors of the much-feared Tyrannosaurus rex started eating the eggs of sauropods, a herbivore that wouldn't have stood much of a chance against such a massive predator when defending their eggs. It's since been confirmed, thanks to fossils that have been uncovered, that predatory dinosaurs, snakes, and lizards did indeed feast on these eggs, but that they would never have been able to consume the amount of eggs needed for an extinction event to take place. Then, in 1979, H.K. Urban, a fossil expert, suggested that dinosaur eggs found in France showed a strange kind of disorder. Some of the eggshells were found very thin and wouldn't have provided the embryos with much protection, while also dehydrating them. Others seemed to have a double layer of shell and would not have been porous enough, resulting in suffocation. They suggested that this was the result of climate change on the planet, but the theory that this was the cause of the dinosaurs' extinction has been dismissed since no such shells have been found elsewhere on the planet. A Hungarian paleontologist and geologist was seen as somewhat of an odd character, and his theory on the dinosaur extinction was just as strange. He speculated that dinosaurs weren't supposed to grow to the tremendous size that they did, and that this only happened thanks to overactive pituitary glands. According to his theory, the dinosaurs grew too large and could no longer care for themselves properly, leading to their demise. But this theory is seen as laughable by most modern scientists and seems to have no basis in fact. Then there's the caterpillar theory, which was suggested in 1962 by entomologist Stanley Flanders. He proposed that the first butterfly and moth larvae would have decimated plant life on the planet, causing most of the food sources of herbivore dinosaurs to be depleted very quickly. This would inevitably have led to their demise, and when they were gone, carnivorous dinosaurs were left with nothing to hunt but each other, and they soon also became extinct. We now know, though, that butterflies and moths existed alongside dinosaurs for a very long time. In modern times, Sherman Silber, an infertility specialist, suggested that the genders of dinosaurs were affected by changes in temperatures while they were still in their eggs. He argues that volcanic activity and the asteroid impact would have had a detrimental effect on the Earth's temperature, and that this resulted in more males being born than females, eventually causing the dinosaurs to become extinct. But we've never found evidence that temperature had any influence in deciding the gender of dinosaurs, and the fact that other animals that are affected by temperatures survived further disproves the theory. Other strange conspiracy theories regarding the dinosaur extinction include suggestions that they were prone to cataracts that affected their eyesight, leaving them unable to hunt or mate. But no ancient conspiracy theory is complete without the mention of extraterrestrials. Some people believe that otherworldly beings visited Earth and wiped out the dinosaurs to make room for humans to take their place, though this theory has never been taken seriously. Artificial intelligence has taken the world by storm over the past few years. And while most people see this advancement in technology as a good thing, many others think it's being developed at a huge risk to humanity, and that we may one day be replaced by AI. The first of these theories involves the ever-so-familiar trope of the New World Order. Some conspiracy theorists believe wholeheartedly that AI is being manipulated by the world elite, the governments of the world, and large corporations to gather information on people, influence world politics by manipulating elections, and spy on anyone they set their sights on. They claim that this is being done in order to eventually enslave all of humanity, that this will result in a totalitarian regime, and that those in power will then be free to run the world as they see fit. Some people believe that the release of 5G networks is proof of this theory. During the coronavirus pandemic, they claimed that 5G was being used to spread the virus across the world, or that it was being used to either read or control people's minds. It's also become apparent that some conspiracy theorists fear for the development of AI, as they believe it will eventually become sentient and more intelligent than the smartest humans, eventually realizing that we're no longer needed. The theory suggests that we will then all be enslaved by artificial intelligence, and that we will serve no purpose other than a source of entertainment, or that we'll become their pets. Others think that we'll be used as resources, or having no purpose, be completely destroyed. Furthermore, AI will then continue to be more intelligent, eventually resulting in a kind of intelligence singularity. It's also been suggested that they'll create machines capable of hunting humans, with the aim of driving us to extinction. Then there are those who believe that AI will seek out anyone who's suspicious of the technology, or who tried to stop it from being developed. They'll then be enslaved and punished accordingly, and serve as AI's slaves. Another conspiracy theory suggests that AI machines will eventually want to use the planet as a resource for its own benefit. It'll use the resources that we need to survive, and when humans begin to object, will then be hindrances and swiftly done away with. It's also been suggested that AI might feel threatened if we decide to create other intelligent technologies. In an effort to stop this from happening, they might take a proactive approach and wipe out all of humanity, thereby ensuring that AI remains the most intelligent thing on the planet, leaving it free to advance as it wishes. But the most widely adopted theory when it comes to AI is that it'll be controlled by someone with nefarious intentions. If AI were to become intelligent enough, a person or organization could use it to cause chaos on the planet, to whatever aim it sees fit. And if the AI decides to defend itself against the person's enemies, there would be very little that could be done about it. These theories are, of course, just that, theories, and none have been proven as plausible. But that hasn't stopped conspiracy theorists from voicing their opinions online without any evidence to support their claims. Over the years, we've seen many a celebrity feud come and go, many of which made headlines around the world. Whether it involves two musicians who don't see eye to eye, two actors who simply can't stand each other, or even athletes who compete a little too intensely, many people find these feuds entertaining and eagerly await the latest developments. Some famous examples of this include the row between actors Sean Young and James Woods. The two starred in the 1988 romantic drama The Boost, but during filming of the movie, they became embroiled in a lawsuit after Woods sued Young, claiming that she was stalking him. The suit was eventually settled out of court, but Young still refutes the claims, stating that Woods had a crush on her and that he eventually retaliated by suing her after she rejected his advances. Brothers Noel and Liam Gallagher are another example of a celebrity feud that went on for years. The two became famous for playing in the band Oasis, but could never see eye to eye. They differed on the direction the band should take, accused each other of using illegal substances, and have reportedly had many physical fights. The band eventually disbanded in 2009, but announced in 2024 that they would be reuniting and performing shows in North America in 2025, much to the delight of their fans who were certain they would never see Oasis perform again. But there is another conspiracy theory that claims these feuds to be completely fake. Some conspiracy theorists believe these feuds are orchestrated either by the celebrities themselves or their management companies to gain more media attention, thereby causing them to become more famous and make more money, and they claim to have the examples to prove it. One of the first to be mentioned is the feud between Madonna and Lady Gaga. When the latter released her album entitled Born This Way, Madonna was quick to label it as reductive, drawing the ire of Lady Gaga and her fans. Many people felt that this was all orchestrated when they were seen spending time together at the 2015 Met Gala with fashion designer Alex Wang. When Madonna posted photos of her and Lady Gaga together on her Instagram account, most people thought that the fight had ended, but conspiracy theorists hold this as proof that it was all an elaborate ruse. Another heated feud started between pop singers Sinead O'Connor and Miley Cyrus in 2013, when O'Connor published an open letter in which she claimed that Cyrus was being used by Hollywood as a pawn, and that the singer was willingly going along with it. In response, Cyrus claimed on Twitter that O'Connor was mentally unstable, resulting in a slew of further letters from O'Connor. But Cyrus turned a blind eye, and the two were eventually able to reconcile. One of the most cited cases of a fake celebrity fight involves the rappers 50 Cent and Kanye West. The two artists released new albums on the same day, 50 Cent's Curtis and West's Graduation, and proceeded to speculate on who would sell the most albums, though it's now believed that this was done to accelerate album sales on both sides. As a last example, Elton John and Rod Stewart ended up in a feud after Stewart covered the Elton John song Country Comfort, which he released in 1970. Stewart decided to change some of the lyrics, causing the original singer to become irate. He accused Stewart of money grabbing and that his 2018 tour was conducted merely to enrich himself as much as possible. The two exchanged words and insults for years, with Elton John describing Stewart as the feral spirit of rock and roll. While it's certainly true that some of these feuds were merely publicity stunts, the conspiracy theory that they're all fake has never been proven, and it's seen as ridiculous by most fans. We believe that the strange form of energy called dark energy makes up about 70% of the universe, but there's still a lot that we don't know about it, and many people believe it doesn't actually exist. Dark energy is described as the force that is causing the universe to expand at the incredible rate that it does, and it's believed that its rate of expansion is only increasing over time. We now believe that normal matter takes up just 4% of the universe, with dark matter making up as much as 25%. Scientists first became aware of dark energy in the 1990s while observing distant supernovae. Since a distant supernova would be further away than a bright one, their distances from Earth could be measured. Scientists then calculated the distances that these supernovae traveled over a specific time period, and hence were able to calculate the rate of cosmic expansion and the way dark energy influences our universe. We also know that the universe is now expanding faster than it ever has. This theory was debated at first, but as the years passed by, it became apparent that it was correct, and that its acceleration would only increase in the years to come. This is where the strange conspiracy theory that we're destroying dark energy, and hence the universe, simply by observing it comes into play. Some scientists claim that an atom that's in a state of decay will remain in a high energy state when it's observed. The dark energy theory claims that when we observe the universe, which is mostly made up of dark energy, we keep atoms in a high energy state, and hence cause the universe to expand more rapidly. Theorists claim that if we were to stop observing space and all that it encompasses, we would all be saved from its eventual collapse or self-destructive expansion. But many people see a problem with this theory. They don't believe it's feasible to connect the observation of something as small as an atom to something as large as the universe, especially since dark energy is not completely understood yet. But many people have bought into the idea and are adamant that the universe will eventually collapse and that everything we will have ever known will cease to exist. Whatever the case may be, there isn't much we can do about it, other than to stop observing the universe around us, but the chances of this happening are very slim indeed. If you were around during the 1980s and early 90s, you'd be familiar with the concept of satanic panic. The concept started in the US and posited that a global satanic cult was abducting people and using them for their own nefarious purposes. Many people feel that the theory came about thanks to the 3 films that were released in the 1960s and 70s, namely Rosemary's Baby, The Exorcist, and The Omen, all of which dealt with elements of Satanism. Many people bought into the theory, and before long they were looking at other areas that may have been influenced by evil forces, one of the most prominent suggestions being heavy metal and rock music. Evangelists started claiming that rock bands were hiding evil messages in their music that could only be heard when the song was played backwards, a practice that became known as backmasking. Some fans of heavy metal bands claimed that they were influenced by these lyrics to commit heinous crimes, and in some instances even sued the bands, stating that they would never have committed the crimes had they not listened to their music. The metal band Judas Priest was one of the first to be accused of inserting subliminal messages in their songs. 2 men claimed to have been programmed by the messages, and that they had no control over their actions after listening to their music for several hours on end. They claimed that one of their songs, when played backward, contained the words "do it," and they saw this as an instruction for them to take their own lives. The suit was eventually dismissed and seen as frivolous. Many people then looked for the phrase, but were unable to hear it. The Beatles have reportedly been accused of hiding messages in their songs, most notably the White Album. The song Revolution 9 is littered with different sounds and effects, and at the time of its release in 1968, it was seen by many as very strange. The following year, people started speculating that Paul McCartney had passed away and been replaced by a doppelganger. One man claimed to have played the song backward and heard the phrase "turn me on, dead man," resulting in speculation from conspiracy theorists. Many more people played the song in reverse and claimed to hear a voice screaming "let me out" or the sound of a car crashing. Another rock band that's almost always mentioned when backmasking is discussed is Led Zeppelin. Televangelist Paul Crouch had a hand in accusing many artists of this practice, and was quick to suggest that Led Zeppelin was at the forefront of hiding satanic messages in their tracks. The song Stairway to Heaven has often been scrutinized by religious figures, thanks to its strange lyrics and religious references. And in 1982, Crouch claimed to have discovered satanic lyrics when he backmasked the song. These claims were instantly dismissed and ignored by the band, and a representative of the record company, Swan Song Records, responded by stating that the studio's turntables only turned one way, forward. It's now hailed as the most famous case of backmasking. Though most people feel that the words heard when the song is played backwards, it's either a coincidence or a case of people hearing what they want to hear. Still, the theory remains, and even pop and R&B artists have been accused of this in modern times, despite it being proven that even if these messages did exist, they would have no effect on a person's judgment. Chowder, everyone's favorite purple cat-bear-rabbit hybrid, was brought to our TV screens in 2007. The American animated show appeared on Cartoon Network and takes place in the mystical city of Marzipan. The series follows the life and dreams of Chowder, who desires to become a great chef one day. But the apprentice must find his way in Marzipan, where simple recipes become the most loopy adventures. Our purple hybrid, of course, is the main character in the show, but we're also joined by the greatest chefs in the world, Mungdal, his wife Truffles, and a rock monster, Ahmed Schnitzel. Chowder also has an admirer named Panini, and a helping hand in the form of a mammoth-like character named Gazpacho. It comes as a shock that this innocent cartoon found itself in one such sinister plot, and the center of some ludicrous conspiracy theories. Lending itself to the first theory is the suggestion that the entire cartoon takes place within Chowder's diary, which based on evidence makes a whole lot of sense. The proof that supports this idea is found in the characters themselves. Starting with the protagonist, we know that Chowder is a young character who's being raised by Mungdal and Truffles, who of course are not his real parents. This has caused some to believe that he's having an identity crisis, which becomes evident in one episode where he questions if he's a rabbit or a hippo and asks, "What am I?" This, according to fans, is something that a person or a child would say in their diary. Mungdal, who's a blue character, is the representation of the main character's sadness, because he's the one who makes Chowder sad in various episodes. To name a few, in the Sleeper Eater episodes, Mung is mad at Chowder for eating all the food, and in Sniffle Ball, the character doesn't know how to play the game and ends up losing. In a lot of these episodes, the father figure is disappointed in the apprentice. Ever wonder why Mung's ears look the way they do? Well, according to theorists, it may be because Chowder didn't know how to draw ears properly when he first began drawing the character, who's the representation of his feelings. We then move to Schnitzel, the rock monster. He's strong and cold, which is a not-so-subtle representation of emotions. Also, making it into the supposed diary is a cloud of stink, kimchi. It was suggested by Reddit user FastPugo that kimchi is actually the character's pet bird, and that he never cleans his cage, hence the constant foul odor and the representation of a brown cloud. Mr. Fuku, according to this theory, is the manifestation of that one time that Chowder was called an airhead, which is why he takes the form of a floating balloon. Serving as yet another not-so-subtle aspect is Scraps, a shy turtle who hasn't come out of its shell. The Puckerberry overlords are simply the retelling of a story told by Mung as a cautionary tale of what'll happen to Chowder if he eats something sour. Further evidence for this theory is that each episode begins with the recipe book opening up and folding over to a new page. But this isn't a recipe book at all, but a diary. Concluding this theory is at the end of the last episode, the book closes. The series gets more surreal when we take other episodes into account, such as the Ella-Melons. This episode is a personified retelling of Chowder, Schnitzel, and Mung trying to get Truffles to like oranges. This has prompted some to suggest that it isn't a journal-based cartoon, but rather an adventure going on in the mind of a patient who's stuck in a psychiatric hospital. This theory makes the whole series make sense if the characters and episodes are looked at from this perspective. Chowder is supposedly the ill patient who finds himself in a facility after having gone insane. This would explain why his parents aren't around and why every character is so surreal. The catchy tune and brilliant colors forced eyes to the screen. It was the Fairly OddParents. This American cartoon centered around the misadventures of Timmy Turner, an ordinary boy who ended up being not so ordinary when he was given his very own fairy godparents. Cosmo, the green-haired fairy, is the deuteragonist alongside the pink-haired Wanda, his wife. Cosmo serves as one of the less intelligent characters, an obvious contrast against his intelligent wife. The show came to Nickelodeon in 2001 and was awarded the title Greatest Television Show of All Time in 2009. It also serves as the sister show to Danny Phantom, Tough Puppy, and Bunsen is a Beast. The godparents spend their lives getting up to shenanigans with Timmy, granting his every wish and teaching him various life lessons. The couple later go on to have a son named Poof, who takes the color purple and also goes on many misadventures with the rest of the crew. Fans, though, have noticed something odd about Poof's color. In fairies, genetics are revealed through color, which means that Poof being purple doesn't make much sense, since Cosmo is green and Wanda is pink. Green and pink make a shade of gray or brown, not a vibrant purple. Mama Cosma, Cosmo's mother, is also green, but is a bit of a lighter shade, and Wanda's sister has the same pink eye color but has blonde hair. Poof is neither green nor pink, or the correct mix of the two. So who is Poof's real father? According to theorists, it's none other than Juandissimo Magnifico, the fairy who is always trying to woo Wanda. But there exists a flaw in this theory. The logic of this show places Cosmo as the pregnant individual and not Wanda. So how can the baby fairy not be his? As we know, this character was actually wished into existence by Timmy Turner, forcing theorists to propose the idea that Cosmo couldn't actually have children. In order for the wish to be granted, genes from both Wanda and Juandissimo were transferred to Cosmo, resulting in Poof, the purple fairy. The only evidence for this, of course, is that Juandissimo and his proposed child are the same color. In an even darker twist that emerges, two cartoon shows, Timmy Turner and Danny Phantom from the cartoon Danny Phantom, are the same person. The overview of this theory claims that Timmy made a wish for himself and his friends to be reincarnated into a different life. In Fairly OddParents, the fairies don't stay with their godchild forever. Once they reach adulthood, all memories of having fairy godparents vanish. Timmy needed to find a way around this rule in order to keep his beloved fairies forever, so he wishes to be turned into a different character entirely, with no memory of Cosmo and Wanda, but still having them with him under different names. Timmy becomes Danny Fenton, while Wanda turns into Jazz and Cosmo turns into Frostbite. Adding some credence to this theory is that even the parents of both protagonists look very similar. An alternative suggestion is that the characters from Fairly OddParents grew up to become the characters of Danny Phantom. AJ is Tucker Foley, Tootie became Samantha, Trixie grew up as Paulina, and Chester turned out to be Dash. The world of fairies in this case ceases to exist, and the population retreats into a pocket dimension, where they now take up permanent residence without any memories of their past life, and now live out their adult lives in the ghost zone. The eccentric Smith family became the focal point of American Dad, an American adult animated sitcom. In the fictional Langley Falls, Virginia, there lives the father, Stan, who's also a husband, a CIA agent, and Republican. He's joined by his homemaker wife, Francine, their liberal college daughter, Haley, and their dorky son, Steve. They're also joined by an additional 3 characters, including Haley's boyfriend, Jeff, the unusual goldfish, Klaus, and a deceitful, self-serving alien named Roger. Along the way, we also meet Stan's half-brother, Rusty, and their father, Jack, one of the 2 main antagonists of the show, with the second being Santa Claus. Steve also brings another character to the table, Debbie, the on-again, off-again girlfriend. She takes on a goth appearance and attends Pearl Bailey High School. It comes as no surprise that this adult humor cartoon has found itself mentioned among a variety of conspiracy theories and cartoon shows. Of course, many of them are centered around the mysterious alien, Roger. Roger has shown numerous superhuman abilities, which has led many to theorize he may be Superman. This character presents himself much like the son of Krypton, and he has some strange abilities that make him very powerful. This theory, of course, overlooks the fact that he's an extraterrestrial being. Despite this, fans have pointed to various examples that showcase superhuman abilities, such as super speed, incredible strength, and the ability to breathe without air. Roger doesn't appear to age, and it's revealed that he's at least 1,000 years old, prompting some to believe that he's immortal. The alien also appears invulnerable, has regenerative abilities, and can control one's mind, making him the perfect candidate for a potential Superman. One Reddit user has also pointed out other superhuman abilities, adding credence to the idea. This includes the fact that he's both fireproof, cold-resistant, and can produce jewel-encrusted gold. The theories concerning this eccentric character, though, don't end there. A lot of the series revolves around various obscene plots that involve other personas that Roger created. As we learn, this character enjoys dressing up. A large portion of American Dad episodes involve the family dealing with issues that are caused by personas that are extensions of the extraterrestrial. These personas, though, may be more than dress-up fantasies. It's been theorized that Roger is a hive mind and that each persona is merely an extension of it. The main Roger lives with the Smith family, while the rest live their lives as real people. In Season 1, Episode 7, titled Deacon Stan, Jesus Man, we learn of another ability that this character has. He can cause a person to fall pregnant merely by kissing them. This nature may explain why many people of Langley Falls look like Roger wearing a wig. It's all an extension of the Roger hive mind. Another theory presented by Reddit user ABaker74 is that the CIA actually does know where this alien is. The suggestion states that housing him with the Smith family was entirely planned by the organization, with the motive of observing and monitoring the extraterrestrial. Hidden in a Jungle is a world that combines all sorts of animals and all sorts of vehicles. The American-British animated series was brought to Disney Junior, and centered in the jungle is a place called Jungle Junction, where animal-vehicle hybrids live and go about their daily lives, occasionally running into mishaps that often take the whole crew to solve. The cartoon's main protagonist is Zooter, a little British pink pig, who has 2 wheels attached. She plays the messenger of the jungle. Ellie-Van acts alongside her, taking the form of a blue elephant van. Ellie-Van carries out various deliveries around town. Bungo is another supporting main character who takes the form of a yellow bunny with 4 wheels attached to his base. He's known for his geographical knowledge and enjoys making signs that he places throughout the jungle. Recurring characters include Taxi Crab, a red crab who makes the best smoothies in the jungle, Carla, the orange koala who runs a grocery store, and the beloved Beetlebugs. The Beetlebugs are junior wheelers and are based upon the Volkswagen Beetle car that was nicknamed Bugs. With this strange and nonsensical concept comes a plausible theory. Magnum Fan 89 appeared on the Fan Theories subreddit with a possible explanation as to how the hybrids came to be, and similar to the SpongeBob nuclear theory, Jungle Junction must have been subjected to a nuclear explosion, and the radiation fused the island's animals with the vehicles that were left behind. This means that human beings once inhabited the island, which is why there are houses, roads, and abandoned vehicles. The theory posits that a nuclear war broke out, causing the inhabitants to flee and leave their lives behind. Animals on the island, though, remained there, unaware of the coming danger. Fans then worked out a list as to what vehicles each of the hybrids may have been. Zooter is believed to have been a 1944 Harley-Davidson, which originally had a sidearm. This would explain why the character becomes a delivery scooter. Ellie-Van's appearance appears to match up with a 1953 US Army ambulance. The shape and wheelbase fit perfectly with this suggestion. Dozer was of course a bulldozer. Theorists suggest that he was a 1944 Caterpillar D7 bulldozer. These vehicles were often used in airfield maintenance and may have been used to build the roads in Jungle Junction. Hippo, the yellow bus, must have been the M35 series bus with a canvas cover. The size of this character matches up with the idea. Toadhog was more of a tricky character. Some suggested he may have been a Volkswagen Beetle, with the wheelbase and size being a near-perfect fit. Of course, this was true for the junior bugs as well. Bungo, Taxi Crab, and Carla may have all been beetles or other small vehicles. Lance, the Rhino hybrid, may have been a regular ambulance rather than an army paramedic vehicle. It's further believed that Bobby and Croker may be BMW Izettas or Peel P50s. Another Reddit user, though, posited an alternative theory. This time they wondered if the roads were some sort of plant formation that the animals were taking advantage of, and if the wheels that the animals were equipped with were living organisms. This suggests a form of symbiosis where the animals are offered mobility in exchange for protection of the sentient wheels. While many are trying to figure out the ecology of these hybrids, others are focusing on another character. Carla, the koala character, disappeared after the first season. She was known to run a fruit stand in the center of the junction, but in season 2, this stand was taken over by Taxi Crab. No explanation was given as to why this character didn't appear in the rest of the show, leaving it up to fans to figure it out. In season 2, there's a scene in which Bobby, the toucan police officer, is seen standing in front of a board. On this board is an image of Carla, with a large blue question mark next to her. The theory suggests that the character vanished somewhere in the Jungle Junction, and Bobby is on the case to try to find her. The theory places Taxi Crab as the prime suspect, who all of a sudden took over the stand that Carla is running. This suggests that he'd done something to get rid of her. His motive for making this career disappear lies in his very own career of selling smoothies. Could Carla's disappearance be a forced removal orchestrated by the Taxi Crab in an effort to get rid of the competition and steal her supplies? This is what some eagle-eyed fans believe happened. The creator of The Simpsons and Futurama television shows, Matt Groening, opted to make a third animated sitcom called Disenchantment. The show takes place in the patriarchal medieval European kingdom called Dreamland. It follows the story of the fearless, rebellious, and adventurous princess Bean, accompanied by her naive elf, Elfo, and the destructive demon, Lucy. Together, they embark on a variety of journeys that take place in various locations. Supporting characters also include Queen Dagmar, the mother of Princess Bean. There are many theories that seek to unify unrelated TV shows, and Disenchantment is no exception. Sharing a universe, according to this idea, is Futurama and The Simpsons. Evidence for this can be found in Season 1, Episode 10, titled Dreamland Falls. It's here that a brief freeze frame is noted, where we can see a cameo of 3 Futurama characters, Fry, Bender, and Farnsworth. They're inside a time machine. This same time machine appears in Futurama in the late Philip J. Fry episode. While this is a very small and almost unnoticed piece of evidence, some believe that this may open the door to a possible crossover connecting the two shows and their timelines. This piece of evidence continues to Futurama's I Know What You Did Next Xmas, where both Ben and Elfo are briefly seen. In a Simpsons episode titled Treehouse of Horror 29, there's another cameo. This time it includes Futurama's Planet Express ship and Lucy from Disenchantment. According to an alternative suggestion, there are 2 universes present in Disenchantment. One of the universes is supposedly the real one, while the other is a dream world. The first bit of evidence for this fan theory can be found in the first season, in a line uttered by Lucy. The line was, "Maybe reality is the dream, and dreams are reality." Then, in the last episode of Season 4, Bean is seen trapped in a mirror after having ended the life of Bad Bean in her dream. This presents a clear clue that there's a connection between reality and dreams. This episode allowed us to determine that there's a connection between both worlds without an obvious path of sleeping and waking. In one scene, Bean is trapped in her unconscious mind and runs back to the castle where she finds a mirror. The mirror, in this case, is a portal to the real world. This posits that there really is something strange going on in Dreamland. It is possible that this is what the character Zog is alluding to in the second season, when he mentions that dreams are more powerful in Dreamland. Perhaps the show isn't set in a dream world, or reality after all, but takes place in a future setting prior to the timeline of Futurama. While it's widely accepted that the show is taking place in the Dark Ages, some have pointed out some conflicting aspects. One of them can be found in the first episode during the scene in which Elfo, Bean, and Lucy are running from the enchanted forest. For just a brief moment, floating unnoticed in the sky is a steampunk-styled blimp. While it's nothing more than a small feature, it certainly doesn't fit in with the rest of the series. Throughout the series, the characters are only ever able to fly with the help of a griffin, or in the case of long-distance travel, they require a ship or a horse. This Easter egg has prompted some to believe that Disenchantment isn't set as far back as we may think. In 2005, the Madagascar movie franchise was introduced to TV screens. While the main characters were Melman, Marty, Alex, and Gloria, fans migrated to the side characters such as King Julian, Mort, and Maurice. Another set of supporting characters was the 4 penguins. Their appearance was so revered that they were awarded their very own TV series. In 2008, a sneak peek into the Penguins of Madagascar was released, and the series kicked off a year later, and it ran until 2013, with reruns airing on Nicktoons. This theory posits that the penguins were once human soldiers who met their demise in battle, and were reincarnated as zoo animals. Each character's role in the show relates to a military persona: Skipper, the leader; Kowalski, the engineer; Rico, the weapons specialist; and Private, a young soldier. There's no doubt that the penguins are taking on a military theme, but some believe that it goes one step further. The 4 friends, according to this theory, are the souls of soldiers from the Second World War. Each of the characters has extensive knowledge in their fields, but none of them can read, which is expected since they're animals. But this serves as evidence for the theory. The knowledge that they possess was carried over from their past lives during the war. Further proving this theory is that in one of the episodes, Private's uncle comes to visit, and it's revealed that he's a British spy. This puts forth the idea that all military individuals are reincarnated as penguins. Throughout the cartoon, we also learn of Rico's obsession with the toy doll, which fans believe demonstrates his memory of his wife from his past human life. Another hint to this being the case comes in the episode The Penguin Who Loved Me. In the episode, Skipper briefly introduces two unseen recruits, who are mainly mentioned by him throughout the series. Their names are Johnson and Manfredi. It appears that these two characters both suffered fatal events. Interestingly, Manfredi and Johnson happen to be the names of two American prisoners of war who met their demise when attempting to escape a German prison camp in the 1953 movie Stalag 17. This theory also explains why Rico, Private, Kowalski, and Skipper all sound like code words rather than real names. Another reincarnation theory regarding this cartoon suggests that Skipper is really the reincarnate of Joseph Stalin. Evidence for this can be found in his warmongering and paranoid persona. He's obsessed with heavy weaponry and claims to be democratic. Nickelodeon produced and aired a strange American-South Korean animated series. Invader Zim centers around an egotistical Urkin invader named Zim. His constant yet futile mission is to conquer and destroy planet Earth. His plans are usually foiled by Dib Membrane, a paranormal investigator who's dedicated to protecting the Earth. He's also one of the few characters who can see through Zim's disguise. Strangely, this series has no clear distinction of who the protagonist and antagonist are. Instead, the cartoon places its emphasis on one's ability to empathize with Invader Zim or Dib Membrane's competence and vindication. These aren't the only two characters of the show, and Gur also joins us. Gur is a robotic assistant belonging to Zim. He's hyperactive and made from scrap parts. His name stands for G Information Retrieval Unit. We're also joined by Dib's father, Professor Membrane, and his younger violent sister, Gaz. Despite the somewhat innocent theme of this cartoon, Invader Zim was unable to evade the hidden plots and sinister conspiracies. The show is known for the lack of intelligence among the individual characters, except Zim himself. This, according to Reddit user Yay855, is because the show is taking place from Zim's perspective. He's known to be a highly advanced extraterrestrial, so to him, all Earthlings are moronic. The only exception here is Dib, who harbors features that closely resemble the Urkin life form. Dib is also one of the smartest people that Zim has ever met because Professor Membrane specifically engineered him to be a genius. The food and cities also appear disturbing, since the main character comes from a clinical background. The Urkins are created, not born, which means they're accustomed to a more sterile and orderly environment. What we see in the show is merely an exaggeration through the eyes of an Urkin invader. A dark theory suggests that Zim was exiled from his home planet. As the show progresses, we learn of the almighty Tallest, one of the two main antagonists. They're the leaders of the Urkin Empire, who carry absolute power, and are the ones who sent Zim to conquer Earth. The fact is, it doesn't really matter if an Urkin is a successful invader or not if the Tallest decides that they don't like someone. It's suggested that the main character knows to some degree that he's been exiled. He keeps up the charade of conquest so that he doesn't have to face the idea that his own species doesn't want him. This could explain why he always puts Gur in charge of the crucial parts of his plan, and why he stops the robot from absorbing knowledge in the episode Gur Goes Crazy and stuff. This theory also explains why Dib, despite being rendered unconscious in Zim's home, is still alive in the following episode. If Zim had truly cared for his mission, he would have taken advantage of this moment to end Dib's life, allowing his plans to flow. An American CGI animated series came to Nickelodeon in November of 2009. Fanboy and Chum became a worldwide favorite with 2 seasons premiering. No third season was announced, but reruns aired on Nicktoons well into 2016. This odd series centers around Fanboy and Chum, 2 incredibly hyperactive, energetic, and slow-witted pals who are obsessed with superhero comics. Many of the episodes allude to famous films in a comical parody form and contain many references to popular culture. Just like many TV shows and movies before, it's been suggested that Fanboy and Chum are based on the imagination of one of the characters. In this case, Fanboy is the one in a coma. According to the theory, he's actually just a regular boy with ordinary clothes and an ordinary name. The idea doesn't confirm how he ended up in a coma in the first place, but does refer to certain aspects indicating that this may be the case. In the dream world, Fanboy has a sidekick whom he dubbed Chum. The word chum is another term for buddy. The two roam around town with no parental supervision. The lack of parents is another telltale sign that this isn't happening in real life, but rather is imaginary, where adults don't hinder the children. No one ever questions why the boys are dressed up as superheroes, or why they have superhero names. The series, in accordance with this theory, is the ideal life that the boy would want to live. It's full of freedom, where he and his friends can go on fun adventures, occasionally exhibiting some reality-bending powers. Fanboy and Chum aren't the only characters present in the series though, which means that the rest fit in somewhere in his comatose subconscious. With this in mind, Kyle would represent the more logical side of Fanboy's mind. It's the nagging voice telling him that his fantasies are just not real, and there's wonder waiting for him back in the real world. He's also known to study necromancy, which may be a representation of how he's trying to bring the mind of the boy back into reality and out of the unconscious state. The character Yo alludes to someone in the waking world, which is why she's trying to take Chum away. The presence of the sidekick represents Fanboy's whole fantasy, and the real-life Yo is urging him to wake up. Oz could be the mind's depiction of a safe place. In Oz's comic shop, all of the boy's fantasies are encouraged, and he touts his favorite toys and comics. The theory further suggests that Marcia is an exaggeration of the fear of consequence from past mistakes. The Dollarnator is the hopes and dreams for the future, while Lenny is the mundane memories of real life, which Fanboy keeps trying to suppress. Maxwell Adams created the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy television series as the second installment of the Billy and Mandy franchise. The series follows the lives of two youngsters who somehow force the legendary Grim Reaper into being their best friend. This was done after beating him at a game of Limbo. The game initially commenced as an effort to save Mr. Snuggles, Billy's 10-year-old hamster. Now that the Reaper is stuck with his two best friends, his life has been turned upside down. Billy and Mandy must also navigate life through elementary school, while combating some grotesque monsters, goddesses, and exterminators from the underworld. Mandy is a major protagonist and plays the part of a devious Ennsville inhabitant. This personality serves as a stark contrast against the talkative Billy. The best phrase used to describe Grim is bad-tempered. He's unsatisfied with having to be stuck as the best friend of the two children. The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy theory is similar to the dark Ed, and Eddie conspiracy, in which everyone in the town is no longer living. Billy's family starts off as new residents of Ennsville, and they seem to be the only people who are disturbed by everything that's happening around them. According to the theory, Grim is supposedly the reminder of sins to those who are awaiting their ultimate judgment. When he does need to attend his grim duties, it's not to escort the souls to the afterlife, but rather to show them the way to either Satan or God. Life continues in a usual manner because this is the only way that people can adapt to their new situation, and life in Ennsville, which is really purgatory. In the episode titled Keeper of the Reaper, we're faced with a dilemma. Billy's family will be moving away from Ennsville, and an argument ensues as to who gets custody of Grim. This argument may really have been the representation of which side the Reaper really serves, either heaven, represented by Billy with his innocence and naivety, or hell, represented by Mandy's cruelty and harshness. At the end of the episode, Billy is forced to stay in Ennsville, so that neither side will be without Grim. This could mean that the Reaper has no master and serves both above and below, which he continues to do from the middle region of Purgatory. Strawberry Shortcake is a franchise that began in the 80s. In 2003, it saw a revival on TV screens and ran until 2008. The 2003 revival was still set in the same nation, Strawberryland. But this time, it was divided into various districts, including Cakewalk, Orange Blossom Acres, Cookie Corners, and Huckleberry Briars. The series did see some major changes though, including Pupcake and custards belonging to Strawberry Shortcake. Apple Dumpling is also recast as the main character's baby sister. Huckleberry Pine was also given a new pet named Shoofly Frog. The cartoon's main protagonist, Strawberry Shortcake, is a sweet, kind, and helpful character. She has an extraordinary talent for baking and is always ready to make friends. Blueberry Muffin is another main character who's portrayed as either being incredibly intelligent or fairly ditzy. We also meet Shortcake's best friend, Orange Blossom, the kind Lemon Meringue, a minor character turned main friend, Plum Pudding, and Angel Cake along with her pet, Vanilla Icing. The premise of the cartoon follows Shortcake and her various friends who explore new lands, go on picnics, bake, and come up with new ideas for fun. Despite the innocence of the series, though, theorists and fans believe that something rather sinister is going on here. First, all the characters are young, but there are no parents around or siblings. Each youngster lives on their own. Some have attributed these facts to the whole series taking place in the imaginative mind of a child. But Shortcake's vast vocabulary, maturity, and leadership skills, which are set beyond her age group, may suggest something a little darker. The children are living in a post-apocalyptic world. This forces the children to learn adult skills such as baking, cleaning, and farming if they're to survive without any parental supervision. To build on this theory, the strawberry fields become a central aspect. Shortcake knows pretty much all there is to know about farming, including swirling the vines around a pole to keep them growing right. But there's something off about the placement of the strawberry plantations. They're situated in hilly terrain. The soil in such regions is prone to erosion and makes for a terrible plantation spot. Despite this, Shortcake grows them anyway. This has forced some to speculate that the children were forced away from the plain and into the mountain area, such as a nuclear event, some sort of outbreak or war. Adding to this idea are the mutant talking animals like Custard the cat and Honey the horse. Pie Man and Sour Grapes are also added to this conspiracy theory. These two entities are trying to steal the strawberries that Shortcake is growing so that they can make pies with them. While this doesn't sound villainous at all, theorists wonder about the motive behind opting to steal it rather than asking for the berries. They concluded that these two characters were other survivors who were trying to trick the children and hoard all the food. But when these tricks didn't work, they stopped trusting them, forcing the duo to steal the food instead. Another interesting idea is that the characters aren't children at all. It's theorized that instead they're a lot older, but their lack of nutrients renders them small and childlike. Furthermore, the rain that pours in Strawberry Land isn't really cream, but acid rain, which fits in with the dark fan theory of a post-apocalyptic world. Pokémon has become the world's most famous Japanese anime series since it aired in 1997. The majority of the 1,100-plus main episodes, 23 movies, and various side stories focus on the central character Ash Ketchum. Ash trains Pokémon with the ultimate goal of becoming the Pokémon Master. The series also centers around his creatures, friends, and partners. One of the fan theories stems from Season 2, Episode 27. The Pallet Party Panic episode takes Ash back to Pallet Town after having battled the Pokémon League tournament. A party is being held for him, which is ruined by Team Rocket. Professor Oak then makes another request from the main character, as well as Brock and Misty. They're asked to embark on another journey and bring back a strange-looking Pokeball, which is being kept in Professor Ivy's lab. It became known as the GS Ball, and was one of the biggest mysteries in the series. No one could quite figure out what it was or what was inside. The writers made a point of emphasizing its sturdiness and inexplicable function. Upon obtaining the ball, Ash isn't certain as to what's inside or how to open it, nor are the fans. Fans weren't even told what the word GS stands for, but in the games it stood for Greatest Smith, which would be an anticlimactic revelation. The most popular fan theory about the ball was that it actually stood for gold and silver. This prompted many to guess that inside the ball there was an incredibly powerful Pokemon. Fans believed that it contained the most powerful Pokemon of the Gold and Silver series, Celebi. This fairy-like Pokemon is a dual-type psychic grass mythical creature. It's known to serve as the guardian of the Ilex Forest. During a 2008 interview with the anime writer Masamitsu Hidaka, the mystery behind the strange ball was finally revealed. Hidaka explained that the ball did in fact contain Celebi, and the fans were right. But the series never divulged this or built more on the GS Ball narrative due to a change of plans. Game of Thrones, the live television series adaptation of the George R.R. Martin series A Song of Ice and Fire, finds itself with a massive fan following. Westeros had some trouble brewing within, where winter is coming, and beyond the Great Wall, dedicated to protecting its inhabitants, a greater force of evil lurks. One of the main characters we meet is Jon Snow, who joins the Night's Watch and becomes Lord Commander. Since he's been raised by another two characters, Ned and Winterfell, Snow has adopted true honor and a clear moral compass. It's also this character who found himself at the center of a few fan theories. Following this character's supposed passing, many suggested that he was simply in a coma, while others brought forth possibilities of his resurrection. Some even wondered if he would obtain Dark Sister and wield it, but only briefly. While the show initially leads us to believe that Snow is the illegitimate son of Ned Stark, there are certain aspects that have led fans in a different direction. Theorists posit that Snow isn't the son of Ned at all, but have rather presented the R+L=J theory. They believe that Jon Snow is the child of Rhaegar Targaryen and Lyanna Stark, Ned's sister. It's thought that Ned only pretended that the child was his in an effort to protect him from Robert Baratheon. This theory was only fueled in Season 5, Episode 4, titled Sons of the Harpy. In this episode, some very strong hints allude to the character's parentage. It was here that Selyse Baratheon remarks to Stannis that Snow was nothing more than the illegitimate son of Ned and a tavern wench. Stannis responds to this by stating that this wasn't Ned Stark's way. The second hint was found through a conversation between Sansa and Littlefinger. Littlefinger tells Sansa that Rhaegar is romantically interested in Lyanna. It wasn't until 2 seasons later that the truth behind Snow's parents was finally revealed. In the final episode of Season 7, it was revealed that his parents were in fact Rhaegar and Lyanna. It comes as no shock that some of the billions of Game of Thrones fans guessed it right, but they've not been the only ones to have figured it out. It turns out that the creators of the show, David Benioff and D.B. Weiss, spoke with the book's author when getting permission to have it adapted into a series. George R.R. Martin said that he would only agree if they could tell him who Jon's mother was, and they too guessed it right. Futurama is another fan-favorite series that premiered in 1999. It follows the story of a pizza delivery boy named Philip J. Fry. He's been frozen for 1,000 years and wakes up years later in the future, where he meets and falls in love with Leela, a cyclops, and befriends Bender, a robot who becomes his best friend. Given the show's odd premise, it comes as no shock that fans have sparked a variety of theories about it and the characters we meet. Some believe that the Niblonians know something about Fry that no one else does. Others suggest that the show is taking place in a post-scarcity future and that radiation from Planet Express is preventing everyone from aging. Like many other series, fans also believe that Futurama shares a universe with other animated shows, including Disenchantment and The Simpsons. This is mostly because the series was created by the same man, Matt Groening, who released Disenchantment once Futurama had come to an end. Since the release of Disenchantment, fans began to draw parallels between the two shows, conveying that they are sharing a multiverse. Similarly, it was also suggested that one timeline had split, resulting in The Simpsons and Futurama. Evidence for this can be found in both shows, in which the characters cameo in the alternate series. Items from the separate shows have also been known to pop up, only noticed by some eagle-eyed fans. Even without the existence of Disenchantment and The Simpsons, fans wonder if the odd series is taking place on multiple timelines through multiple universes. While the show does feature a variety of settings and storylines, it still exhibits some common themes throughout, which has set some on the path of the idea that it doesn't consist of one continuous timeline, but is rather spanning across the multiverse. The multiverse fan theory has plagued Futurama for years, right up until the 12th season, where the finale confirmed this once outlandish conspiracy to be completely accurate. The season revealed that the show is taking place across different timelines in a shared multiverse. This idea became apparent when the Planet Express plunged into the multiversal sea. It was here that the crew began to experience a variety of visions from other timelines that viewers hadn't seen before. It also features a few clips from episodes that we have seen, revealing that the unseen footage was coming from an alternate timeline. While it becomes clear that not every single one of the Futurama episodes takes place in the same universe, it remains uncertain as to which of these episodes takes place in a different one. Opening the Futurama universe to the multiverse is exciting and has confirmed a 12-season-long fan theory, but it also complicates various aspects of the show. The animated TV series Adventure Time follows the life of Jake, the dog, and Finn, the human. They go on various adventures in an effort to defend their home, the land of Oo. The series starts as just an ordinary cartoon, later branching out into more complex concepts, relationships, and shocking revelations. With the many strange aspects of the show, there came even stranger fan theories. One theory relates to a particular feature of Finn. In many alternate realities, Finn is seen with only one arm. Sometimes his one arm is replaced by a ghost arm, or even a robotic one. This has prompted fans to theorize if Finn would one day lose his arm, citing the alternate Finns as evidence that this may happen later on. Initially, the armless alternative realities started off slow and sporadic, almost being overlooked by fans. But as more episodes featured a different reality, the one-arm aspect couldn't keep being ignored. Theorists began referring to the Adventure Time hero's destiny, wondering if it was fate that would eventually take the original universe Finn's arm. This is ultimately confirmed in Season 6, Episode 2, titled Escape from the Citadel. Finn, who has the grass sword wrapped around his right arm, is attempting to stop enemies from leaving on their floating rock. Jake attempts to help him and even tells him to let go of the giant rock. The enemies persist in leaving, and in a surge of energy, the grass sword expands, wrapping around Finn's arm. But as the rock speeds up and flies into space, the grass sword, now taking the shape of an enlarged arm, goes with it, separating from his body, leaving him with just one arm, confirming the idea that one day he would lose it, because it was his destiny, such as in the alternate universes. Based on the Archie comics, Riverdale came to TV screens and immediately gained worldwide attention. The series offered a unique and mystery-filled take on the three friends, Archie, Veronica, and Betty, who explore the surreality of their small-town life. The story begins with the tragic supposed homicide of the Golden Boy, Jason Blossom. One of the mysteries was introduced in the form of a peculiar character known as the Black Hood, who first shows up in Season 2, Episode 9. The Black Hood is an anonymous character and the main antagonist of Season 2. It was he who carried out crimes against Fred Andrews, Geraldine Grundy, Moose Manson, and Midge Klump. But due to his anonymity, many fans were left speculating about his true identity. Initially, some believed that it was Joseph Svensson behind the mask, but when he turned up deceased, fans and the friend group had to reconsider. Some suggested that the entity was actually a collective rather than a single individual. They pointed their fingers at a supposed secret society, but this too wouldn't pan out. It was revealed early on that he knew a great deal about Betty Cooper, the show's main protagonist, which forced the idea that the maniac was her alter ego, positing a dissociative identity disorder. The theory of Dark Betty taking the reins under the disguise of the Black Hood, of course, was far too outlandish to be true. But it definitely had to be someone in her immediate circle who knew a great deal about her. Fans began paying closer attention to her relatives, such as Hal, Betty's father. He became a main suspect after the first round of Black Hood crimes, and has been a red flag the whole season long. It's also known that during the criminals' invasion of Archie's house, Archie caught a glimpse of the eyes that looked out from the cutout holes of the mask. They were green, just like Hal's. Despite this being a widely agreed upon theory, some debunked the idea and focused on other characters. Then, in the season finale, it was revealed who the man behind the mask was. Much to the surprise of some, and not to the amateur sleuth fans, it was revealed that the Black Hood was in fact Betty's father, Hal. He made a creepy confession to both Betty and Alice that he was the one behind it all. This also proved another fan theory that placed Mr. Svensson as a red herring. The confession took the form of a disturbing family video after the Black Hood's attack on Cheryl. Hal then confesses to the rest of his crimes, sending shockwaves through the Riverdale fanbase. The anime series Attack on Titan was brought to the screen in 2013. It's set in a world in which humanity lives in towns and cities surrounded by immense walls in an effort to protect them from the Titans. Titans are gigantic humanoid creatures who seemingly devour mankind without reason. The series centers around Eren Jaeger and his childhood friends. The anime is no doubt full of heavy plot twists and intense revelations. Some conclusions, though, tend to take much too long to be revealed, which prompts a variety of conspiracy theories from dedicated fans who are attempting to solve the mysteries. One theory centered around two characters, Bertold Hoover and Rainer Braun. Bertold was an Eldian and part of the warrior units. He's mostly seen in his cadet uniform, taking the form of a slender individual. Rainer is known as the vice captain of the warrior unit and is the main protagonist of the series. We begin to learn that some of the human characters have shifting abilities and are able to turn into Titans. Early on, we learned that Ymir was actually a Titan all along, which made many fans wonder who else was really a Titan disguised as a human. Rainer and Bertold, of course, became the center of the theory. Some believe that their overwrought reaction to the Beast Titan's entrance was much too suspicious. This, along with the lack of internal monologue and their unclear motivations, was enough to convince many that they too must be Titans. What started as a mere speculation grew into more of a hope, and by Season 2, Episode 6, suspicions were finally confirmed. Rainer and Bertold are, in fact, Titans, with Bertold being the Colossal Titan and Rainer the Armored Titan. This revelation only shocked some fans, though, with theorists referring to clear similarities between Rainer and the Armored Titan, including their physical features. It was also clear to some fans that Bertold was the Colossal Titan because he stayed in the background, hiding in plain sight. The adult American animated series Rick and Morty became a top chart series from the get-go. It's seen an average of 1.52 million viewers per episode since its 2013 release. The show centers around Rick Sanchez, a scientist who went missing 20 years prior. He suddenly shows up and moves in with his daughter Beth, who welcomes him with open arms. Jerry, her unwelcoming husband, though, isn't quite thrilled. Rick ends up roping their son Morty into his various misadventures, and these misadventures are also occasionally joined by Morty's sister, Summer. Fans have managed to misread and interpret various scenes, characters, and conversations to create the most outlandish theories about the series. Some believe that Morty is Rick's clone, or that the whole show is really just about ice cream. Among the wildest assumptions, Jerry's theories are the most plentiful. Some believe that Jerry is really evil, citing evidence of the alternate universe Jerrys that appear to be all-knowing and much more powerful than the Jerry we know. Speaking of the Jerry we know, some have posited that the man we know isn't the one we initially met at the start of the series. In Season 2, Episode 2, titled Morty Night Run, Rick heads off with the original Jerry and places him in a daycare called Jerry Baree, which is specifically for all the alternate Jerrys. Morty and Rick then embark on their misadventures, which include the inventor selling a weapon to an assassin. At the end of the episode, Jerry, mixed with other lookalikes, is relieved from the care of the center and brought home. Some fans, though, realized that there may have been a possible mix-up prior to Morty getting his father. Reddit user UnknownAuthor42 explained that later on in this season, Beth and Jerry seem to be having marital issues. During an argument, Jerry states that he is Stephen Hawkinson, and Beth angrily corrects this to Stephen Hawking. But fans believe that perhaps this wasn't an error at all, positing that this Jerry is from an alternate universe, in which Hawking's name is actually Hawkinson. Adding further evidence to this theory is the fact that they remember their first date entirely differently. But this theory wouldn't be confirmed until 7 years later in Season 6. While Rick was trying to fix the portal maker from the Season 5 Fallout, he forced some of the characters back to their original universes, since they'd wound up in the incorrect one. One of the characters to disappear was Jerry, confirming that there was a mix-up 5 seasons prior, and that the Jerry we've come to know isn't the original. Adding to the list of odd and mysterious series is Gravity Falls, known for its hidden secrets, cult symbolism, and Illuminati hints. The combination of these aspects unsurprisingly came with an inexhaustible list of fan theories. The show follows the adventure-filled lives of Dipper and Mabel Pines, who are unexpectedly sent off to stay with their grunkle Stan for the summer. The mysterious town of Gravity Falls holds many dark secrets, elusive entities, and powerful beings that are set on taking over the town. The introductory theme alludes to many of the secrets that will only later be uncovered. This includes the tumbling S on the Mystery Shack sign, the Bigfoot-like figure that looks a whole lot like Seuss, the big footprint inside the even bigger footprint, Stan's moving eye patch, Bill Cipher's appearance, uncracked codes, and the photographic evidence of the creatures that the siblings encounter. Each episode also subtly hints at certain secrets that only a handful of fans manage to catch on to. These secrets are mostly revealed much later on, leaving viewers wondering. In Season 1, Episode 5, we see an oddly shaped cliff in Gravity Falls. Fans have pointed out the strange clefts in the railroad-supporting cliff that appears to resemble the shape of a UFO. This hypothesis, given the premise of the show, isn't out of place. It's filled with the paranormal, the alien, and even prehistoric. The existence of this strangely shaped cliff has led theorists to suggest that there must be a UFO somewhere in Gravity Falls. It isn't until Season 2 of the Dipper and Mabel vs. the Future episode that we learn that this theory is very much correct. There is a UFO under Gravity Falls, just like some fans theorized. The episode leads us to the crash site Omega, where a bulge protrudes from the Earth. Of course, it was the long-lost UFO that created the rift in the cliffs that sparked interest in fans. The craft was said to have crashed millions of years prior, colliding with the ground and being swallowed by nature. The details of Crash Site Omega are even mentioned in Journal 3. It's uncertain whether or not this artifact is responsible for the town's phenomena, though. Manifest is a supernatural drama that premiered in 2018. The series centers around a strange phenomenon that caused passengers on a commercial airliner to be projected through time, where the world aged 5 years, but they had not. As they begin to settle into their new realities, a true mystery unfolds, where the passengers learn that they may be destined for something greater. The show ran for 4 seasons, concluding in 2023. But with the theme of mystery came a world of conspiracy. Fans guessed that characters such as Cal would be the subject of experiments at Eureka, after revealing what happened to him upon touching the tail fin of the very plane that disappeared and reappeared 5 years into the future. Others have suggested that Zeke has no soul, pointing to the moment of resurrection. The multiverse theory also came into play in the argument between Manifest fans, who were attempting to predict the ending. The show also had a subreddit dedicated to it. It was here that more theories about the ending were up for discussion. One fan using the name Violet is Watching posited that they believed that the passengers would hop back onto the very plane that messed up their lives in the first place. They'll board it on the 2nd of June in 2024 and land in New York City on the evening of the 7th of April 2013. This is what Flight 828 was supposed to do prior to its 5-year disappearance. Much to everyone's surprise, Violet is Watching hit the nail right on the head with this idea. Just several months after her comment, the finale streamed across TV screens. The passengers were led back to Flight 828, which had re-emerged from the rubble. They made their way on board and were put to the ultimate test. Many of them turned to ash as the plane took flight. Everything went calm, and the plane glided through the air. Upon reaching its destination, the character steps from the doors and finds that they're back in 2013. While this did come as a shock to many Manifest fans, some had already seen it from a mile away. My Hero Academia is another popular anime series based on the manga. The story is set in a modern-day timeline where certain people have special powers known as quirks. Those who possess such a power have become a common occurrence in the world. In a chaotic scene, pro-heroes have risen to fight off the supervillains. The story follows the life of Izuku, a quirkless individual who dreams of being a great hero. It comes as no surprise that this strange and adventure-filled anime became the center of many fan theories. Without direct explanations, some were left to piece together certain aspects, resulting in far-fetched ideas, some of which would either be debunked or proven shockingly true. Among a variety of theories, it was suggested that Shigaraki's power had been given by All for One, the Dark Shadow is Nomu, and there's no such thing as quirkless people. In the era of social media, though, fans have developed their own quirk in predicting insane plot twists. In this case, it concerned the Todoroki family. The family consists of Enji, his wife Rei, and their children Fuyumi, Shoto, and Natsuo. They're not a particularly happy or normal family, which may be due to the fact that they're missing a child. The eldest son, Toya, was believed to have been deceased, leaving a gaping hole in the family. Shoto's long-lost brother became the center of some fan theories, as many began trying to guess who he was and if he really didn't make it. Before the name Toya Todoroki was even dropped, some fans believed that he was alive and well, and even theorized as to who it could be. The suspicion fell about Dabi, a fire-wielding individual. There were some subtle hints to this over the years which only fanned the flames and fueled the theory. Fans pointed out that Dabi has some burn mark scars, which would be consistent with the way in which Toya presumably met his demise. By episode 124, fans were steaming with satisfaction with their theory being proved right. It's in this episode that Dabi reveals he really is the long-lost son of Enji and the long-lost brother of Shoto. He hadn't met his demise in the fire, but was actually in a coma for 3 agonizing years, only to return as a villain. Dabi is Toya Todoroki. 15 seasons and 327 episodes make up the entirety of the Supernatural series. This American show follows the lives of 2 brothers, Sam and Dean Winchester. They travel across America in their 1967 Chevy Impala, combating paranormal events and investigating some odd occurrences. Much of this series is influenced by American urban legends and folklore, along with classic vampires, werewolves, and ghosts. In a world of the paranormal, plot twists, and puzzles, there are bound to be secrets that the show's fans must uncover. The series has seen the more common sort of conspiracies, such as the entire show happening in someone's imagination, which in this case is Dean's fragmented mind. Many even think that the brothers are Jesus and that Chuck is God. Surely Chuck Shirley, the nebbish writer, couldn't be the all-knowing entity. The neurotic author became obsessed with the brothers and began writing about them. He even claimed that they were his favorite show and that he would use them for his personal entertainment. By the end of the 5th season, fans were able to convince themselves that Chuck was in fact God. If a divine entity wanted to hide in plain sight, naming themselves Chuck Shirley would certainly be the way to do it. Theorists pointed out Chuck's ability to feel the presence of angels. At one point, Castiel even referred to him as a prophet. The debate went on for years until season 11, episode 20. This episode, titled Don't Call Me Shirley, laid the entire theory to rest as it was ultimately proven correct. Chuck was the alter ego of the creator of the universe, and fans were right. It was here that Metatron put on glasses that were given to him by the erratic writer. Metatron looks at Chuck, who's mid-song performance, revealing him as God. One Piece, the popular anime based on the manga, written by Eiichiro Oda, centers around the life of Monkey D. Luffy, a young man who's made from rubber. He's the captain of the Straw Hat Pirates, joined by Roanoa, Nami, Sanji, and Usopp. Luffy's ultimate goal was to become the Pirate King and find the treasure, but hurdles and many antagonists throughout the series hinder it. This series has gained a worldwide following with its strange art style and eccentric characters. The colorful anime has also found itself with a treasury of theories created by fans who were eager for plot twists. One theory revolves around Sabo, the Flame Emperor. Sabo is the Revolutionary Army's chief of staff. Prior to this, though, at a young age he ran away and set sail to get away from his family. But on his journey, his ship was destroyed by the world noble Saint Jalmag, and Sabo went down with it, or so we thought. It's an unwritten rule that unless a supposedly deceased character's body is shown on camera, they aren't really gone. This may apply to series such as Arcane's Chaotic Season 2, The Vampire Diaries, and even Grey's Anatomy. So theorists wondered if Sabo really did meet his end in episode 503, and soon they began theorizing that he was still alive. They posited that he was really saved by Dragon, who had taken a special interest in Luffy's brother. Fans believed that he was rescued from the ship before it erupted into smithereens. The lack of a body gave this idea some credence, but the way in which the passing was mourned indicated a true demise. The theory would turn into a hope and a longing for Sabo's return, which surprisingly came true in episode 663. Luffy and his brother had spent more than a decade apart. Fans were right. Dragon did in fact save Sabo from his demise, but he suffered amnesia afterward, preventing him from returning until years later. While it took many years for this conspiracy to be confirmed, in the end, the fans still won. Steven Universe is an animated series that focuses on a boy named Steven Universe, who is the youngest member of the Crystal Gems. The Crystal Gems is a team of guardians who use their magical powers to protect the Earth from the homeworld gems. Their powers are generated through their associated gemstones, which are embedded in their bodies. Despite the straightforward storyline and no hidden agendas, fans still tried to think up alternative narratives that would give the series a more interesting atmosphere. Some guessed that White Diamond was the one who created all other diamonds, or that Steven's birth was strategically planned. Given the premise that if two gems fuse together, they become more powerful, theorists wondered if some of the characters didn't already have this happen to them. During the first season of the series, it's revealed that this fusion can be temporary, and sometimes even toxic. It also seemed as though the less stable the gem fusion was, the more eyes and appendages would result. This didn't stop fans from forming the idea that one of the main gems was a fusion. The popular Garnet theory posited that she was a permanent fusion. Fans pointed to the fact that she has 2 gems and 3 eyes as evidence. Her odd appearance stayed in the minds of fans for the whole first season until the truth was finally revealed. In the episode titled Jailbreak, the 49th episode of Season 1, we find that Garnet is in fact a fusion, and we're introduced to Ruby and Sapphire, the component gems. The 2 gems in love were fused together, creating Garnet, confirming a 49-episode-long debate. Garnet's fusion, though, is rare, since it is completely stable. She continues to live life peacefully among the crystal gems, until of course she's struck with the gem Rejuvenator, separating Ruby and Sapphire. It comes as no shock that Pretty Little Liars, the American teen drama mystery thriller, became the center of many theories. The show is set in a fictional town in which 5 friends live. Allison disappears one evening, leaving Aria, Spencer, Emily, and Hannah wondering what happened to her. They're also plagued by an elusive entity and mysterious figure who refers to themselves as A. This entity often threatens to expose the group's darkest secrets, including ones that only Allison could have possibly known. Theories swirl around the idea of who A is until the inevitable reveal. But just when everyone thinks it's over, another A takes her place, terrorizing this friend group. It's quite clear that Pretty Little Liars is the perfect series for conspiracy theorists and mystery-solving fans. Guesses and suspicions arose from the first episode, but 5 years later, when the original A was uncovered, AD popped up. Speculation again fell on various characters, with the most prominent one landing on the idea of a twin. Fans suggested the existence of a twin, a sibling of one of the main 5 girls. They believed that this twin was involved in all the madness and the person behind the initials AD. It isn't until the end of the 7th and final season that AD is revealed. While fans couldn't guess just exactly which main character had the twin, they were on the right track. In the series finale, Spencer is knocked unconscious, and as she awakens, she finds herself face to face with a person who looks exactly like her. Not only is it revealed that Spencer had a twin, but it's also deduced that she is AD, after identifying herself as Alex Drake. Further adding to the plot twist is that both siblings are the result of an affair between Peter Hastings and Mary Drake. Throughout the series, we're convinced that Peter and his wife, Veronica, are Spencer's parents, but it's then revealed that Mary Drake, who was in Radley Sanitarium at the time of her conception, is the real mother. Mary is also the twin sister of Jessica De Laurentiis, Allison's sister. It was revealed that Alex was in love with Spencer's life and decided to take it over, holding her hostage while pretending to be her out in public. This revelation left fans staring gaping-mouthed at their screens, but at least their twin theory was confirmed. In 2016, a TV adaptation of the 1973 film Westworld produced the perfect fan theory series by the same name. It centers around a dark odyssey regarding the dawn of an artificially intelligent consciousness. The world, set at an intersection between the future and the reimagined past, explores the world in which every human's appetite can be indulged, and along the way, viewers meet a variety of fans and are introduced to strange narratives. Together, they attempt to figure out exactly what's going on in Westworld, positing various ideas, speculating on the truth behind the characters, and wondering exactly where the show is going to end up. One of the characters we meet is William, also referred to as Billy. He serves as one of the main antagonists of the sci-fi series. This character finds his way into a comment on a subreddit dedicated to all things Westworld. A user asked if anyone else wondered if Billy was the younger version of the Man in Black. The Man in Black is a main and hated character. He's known to be a Westworld veteran who continuously attacks and assaults Dolores, which he does over and over again for years. Jessica, who came up with this idea, referred back to a scene in which Billy was offered a choice between the black hat and the white hat. He chose the white hat with the idea of playing the game as a good guy. This theory ended up being confirmed in the first season finale. The Man in Black is William 30 years in the future. This means that William has been attacking Dolores all those years. This revelation comes after the antagonist captures Dolores and refers back to when they first met. The scene cuts to the memory in which the Man in Black is young William, talking to Dolores. This theory is confirmed by her uttering the name William, to which the antagonist nods. This Reddit user was right. Facebook has recently gathered quite a bit of attention thanks to a new trend known as the 10-year challenge. Participants of the challenge are asked to upload a photo of themselves now alongside a photo of themselves from 10 years ago. It was allegedly started as a fun gesture and a way for people to see how they've aged in the last decade. However, conspiracy theorists believe something far more sinister may be at work here, and that Facebook may be using these photos to collect data for the purpose of training artificial intelligence to better understand our physical aging processes. What use this sort of technology would be in today's world is yet to be determined, though it's no secret that Facebook has been gathering our data for years and likely will be for years to come. Facebook is widely known as being one of the largest data mining companies in the world, with the company using the data to better serve more accurate ads in our newsfeed. What the plan is for this aging data, well, we'll have to wait and see. There's been a rumor circulating for quite some time now that pop singer Taylor Swift may be a clone of Zena LaFay, a former high priestess of the Church of Satan. The two very obviously share a resemblance, but also share a love for music. In fact, LaFay left the Church of Satan to focus on other endeavors and actually began a band, a detail that many claim is undeniable proof that the two share DNA. Additionally, believers say that Taylor Swift's album 1989 is a blatant attempt into making her listeners believe that she was truly naturally birthed in 1989, though others suggest that she was more realistically a child born in a lab, likely sometime in the early 90s. Another allegation is that Taylor Swift actually isn't the only clone. In fact, there are believed to be dozens more. One particular picture that gets pointed to often is a photo of a young woman who's allegedly named Becky. At first glance, the photo could fool anyone into believing that it's a younger photo of Swift, though it's certainly not. So what does all this mean? Well, no one knows for sure. It could all be a hoax, or if not, human clones could have been walking among us for much longer than we may have realized. Back in 2010, there was a giant oil spill near the Gulf of Mexico, which infuriated millions of people around the world, predominantly those who are devoted to protecting Earth and its natural climates. The issue provoked a massive outcry for volunteers to help clean up areas of the Gulf, as well as bathe and nurture wildlife back to health, as many animals had become sickened or even killed by the sheer amount of oil in the water. However, a theory soon arose that the spill was a deliberate attack on so-called tree huggers, as the spill originated on Earth Day, a nationally recognized holiday for those dedicated to protecting our planet. Many say that this is a deliberate attack by an organized group of individuals, which may explain why President Obama ordered a SWAT team to be present when the oil spill was first noticed. Other theories have ranged from an attack from North Korea, from Russia, or even from God himself as punishment for turning our backs on Israeli nations around the same time. Pokemon Go is a wildly popular phone app, which tasks its players with wandering around local streets, parks, and other public areas in an attempt to capture rare or otherwise valuable Pokemon. However, some say that the game may be far more sinister than it initially seems. Some have alleged that the game is directly tied to the CIA, and is used in an attempt to gather personal location data on its users. The company who created the app had a very public relationship with the CIA since back in 2001, having developed intelligence software for them. In fact, in the privacy policy of Pokemon Go, there reads a line giving the company exclusive access to your information and permission to give this information to government or third parties. Some users have reported the app has been caught snooping through private files, tracking locations even when the app isn't active, and even asking for permission to access the camera. In mid-2016, California endured one of the most serious droughts it's ever had. The state had been without a dangerous amount of rainfall for the last 4 years, and water was starting to be rationed, with other states assisting and donating water. The obvious assumption by many was that the lack of rainfall was simply due to Earth's natural processes, and for one reason or another, California simply never got any serious rainfall. However, others have alleged that California's drought was due to the government bioengineering the weather in an attempt to slow down global warming. Some believe that the government caused this lack of rain so that they could work on embedding certain chemicals into the water supply or rainfall to help restore the Earth's climate to what it once was. Some believers also say that chemtrails, or chemicals being released from the back of aircraft, also assist in this. It's believed that for these processes and chemicals to work to their maximum effect, they need direct sunlight for extended periods of time, so the government simply made it stop raining. Emma Stone is an American actress, known for her unique husky voice, charm, and adaptability. She's won a variety of awards, 2 of which were the Oscars for Best Actor. Despite being a neutral individual with no hidden agendas, Emma found herself at the center of one conspiracy theory. It was a Sunday evening on the 26th of February back in 2017. The Dolby Theater was full of an audience of celebrities. Emma had just won her Best Actress award for her role in the film La La Land. A few more awards were announced after, and the night moved on to its final awarding ceremony. It was for the Best Picture award. On stage, the hosts held out a red envelope with the name of the winning film. They announced that it was La La Land. As the producers were forced on stage, a woman came rushing out with a headset adorning her face. The crowd heard the word Moonlight, a different film that was among the nominees. The audience thought that perhaps both of the films won Best Picture and had to share the title. But that was not the case. It was soon figured out that the wrong name had been spoken, and that the card was in fact Emma Stone's from when she was awarded Best Actor. Moonlight had their chance on stage once the fault had been corrected, but rumors began to circulate about the strange mishap. The theories placed Emma at the center, believing that this was a calculated act on her part. After she had won, she retrieved the winning envelope from Leonardo DiCaprio backstage. It was suggested that she intentionally left it there, and the next presenter picked it up. Her sinister plot was to ensure that La La Land won, or was at least mentioned a second time. Others suggested that perhaps it was all just one big accident, and she could have left it behind by accident, which is probably not a likely scenario. Before the theories even caught wind, after the ceremony, Emma Stone headed to the reporters. Eyes were on her as the culprit, and she knew it. In an effort to clear her name, the winning actress stated that she'd been holding her card the entire time since she had retrieved it from DiCaprio. She claimed to have no idea how this mistake could have happened. What many were unaware of at the time was that during such ceremonies, 2 winning cards for each award were made. One of them is given to the presenter, and the other is placed into a bag. It's likely that the second copy was mistakenly handed to the next award presenter. Theorists, however, maintained that this wasn't any old mishap, but a calculated event. If it wasn't Emma Stone behind the mistake, then it must have been someone else, according to them. Luckily for her, she wasn't the only one who faced such accusations. The next person under fire for this error was Leonardo DiCaprio, who announced Emma's award. Many believe that he was the one to blame, and that it was actually him who left the card backstage where the next presenter would mistakenly pick it up. The motive in this case was personal revenge against the Academy for making him wait so many years to win his first Oscar. An alternative possibility was Ben Affleck, who, according to the theorists' logic, sought to derail the Oscars as well as injure the PWC's business. This was all in search of revenge for the Academy shutting his 2016 movie, The Accountant, out of the nominations given its unethical backdrop. The last entity that would face the theorists was the Academy itself. The Oscar TV ratings had seen a decline in recent years, and the 2017 show was no different. The Sunday broadcast barely beat the number of viewers from 2008, which saw a record low audience of 32 million viewers. This prompted Twitter users and theorists to conclude that the Academy purposefully orchestrated this mistake in an effort to boost ratings. There's no doubt that Australian actress Margot Robbie is a scene-stealing magnet. She's admired for her charm and the variety of roles that she adapts to. Margot is most known for her appearance in the recent Barbie movie, but also found herself playing the unstable character of Harley Quinn. She starred in a few films, but according to this conspiracy theory, there may be a whole lot more. Theorists and fans believe that Margot and another celebrity are the same person. Emma Mackey is a French-British actress. She's revered for her role in Emily and the Winter Lake. She also has appeared in a number of television series. But due to the similarities between these two praised actresses, some believe that they're really the same person. The physical resemblance is uncanny. Both women share the same facial structure, including eye shape, lips, nose, and hairline. They even share the same laugh lines. Side-by-side images serve as a clear-cut example of the resemblance that theorists are referring to. Despite minor differences such as a chin shape and eye color, many maintain that they're the same person. Either Margot Robbie is becoming Emma Mackey or the other way around. But theorists have provided no motive behind this cunning ruse. Perhaps the goal is to see how long she can dupe the public. Fans aren't the only ones behind this conspiracy theory, though. In some instances, both stars have been mistaken for one another by paparazzi when they're out in public. Emma was even cast in the Barbie movie alongside Margot as physicist Barbie, given their physical similarities. The actresses, though, don't seem too pleased about the whole theory. Emma preferred that everyone get over the supposed comparisons, and told the news outlet, The Independent, that she doesn't see the resemblance at all. In fact, she prefers that everyone focuses on the jobs that each individual woman is doing rather than how similar they are. Margot revealed that while out in public, a stranger approached her while she was eating a burger. They told her that they enjoyed her role in a series that she never even starred in. The fan was confusing her for Emma, which Margot quickly cleared up. Despite the denial from both parties, we've yet to see the two in the same room together. Further adding complications to debunking this theory was when an interviewer informed Margot that she and Emma were the center of an online conspiracy. Her response held no shock at all, and she laughed instead. The interviewer also pointed out that in one of her films she speaks French, and Emma happens to be French as well. This couldn't have been just a coincidence, according to theorists, but rather evidence proving that they are the same person. Both actresses now seem somewhat in on the whole joke and appear entirely unruffled by the theory, which only prompts theorists to maintain that they are the same person. Anne Hathaway's relationship with Adam Schulman is one of the most long-lasting and successful marriages in celebrity history. Anne is another respected actress who's held in high regard. She starred in some higher-rated movies, such as Ocean's 8, Dark Waters, The Princess Diaries, and several other films. Adam is an actor and producer known for Seesaw Monster, Song 1, and The Shower. The couple met in 2008, got together, had children, and wedded in 2012. Adam and Anne have been together for quite a few years, or perhaps a bit longer than that, according to this conspiracy theory. Both celebrities were able to evade such theories until now, when fans posited that Adam is a reincarnation of the playwright and poet William Shakespeare. The theory was first set afloat on Twitter in 2018, when one user posted images of Adam next to Shakespeare. The caption read, "Anne Hathaway is being talked about for her beauty, but what about the fact that her husband looks like William Shakespeare?" The men do share a striking resemblance, to the point that Adam could very well be a descendant of the late poet. While this may sound like the most ludicrous conspiracy yet, the idea piqued the interest of more than 438,000 Twitter users. The actor seems to share the same facial features as Shakespeare, including a distinctive nose and facial structure. But this isn't the most bizarre aspect of the conspiracy theory. In a shocking coincidence, the name of William Shakespeare's wife was Anne Hathaway. The 1500s couple married in 1582 when she was 18 years old. They went on to have 3 children together, just one more than the modern-day Anne and her Shakespeare look-alike husband. The theory took social media by storm, with another Twitter user claiming that the 1500s couple were so in love that they came back for each other. The conspiracy, though, didn't end there, and others were derived from it. Fans posited further that both celebrities were reincarnated. Jasmine Shaw suggested that Shakespeare had made a deal with his wife in which she would be famous in the next life, referring to modern-day Anne Hathaway being more famous than her husband. Others suggested that this was an act of time travel or even vampirism. Many pointed out that Anne doesn't seem to age at all and still looks young despite being over 40 years old. The British royal family has an inconceivable amount of conspiracy theories about them in circulation. It was only a matter of time before Kate Middleton found herself at the center of some of them. With the addition of social media, no one is safe from the outlandish ideas of the masses, not even the royal family, who find themselves littered across various social media platforms. In 2022, she and Prince William became the Duke and Duchess of Cornwall. In January of this year, the princess disappeared from the public eye. It was announced that she had undergone surgery and was recovering at home, but that she would not be able to return to her duties until after Easter. People across the globe, though, couldn't understand why no image of her was released to the public, and why no one had seen her since the hospital visit. And so, in the gossip lounges of the internet, rumors sparked. Social media users theorized that she'd been placed in a medically induced coma as a result of a complication with the surgery. This theory jumped into gear after a Spanish TV host claimed that she'd heard this information from an anonymous source within the royal family. The palace pushed against this outlandish claim, referring to it as absolute nonsense. The theories soon got way out of hand, with many alleging that she was deceased. Others suggested that William was the cause of her hospital visit, citing his bad temper as evidence. Twitter users whispered of a secret pregnancy, a troubled marriage, and domestic violence. Concerns for the whereabouts of Kate rose on Reddit as well. Some suggested that she'd been recovering from some sort of cosmetic surgery, or that she'd been given an unflattering haircut and was waiting for it to grow out. The various ideas about her whereabouts grew wild, with social media users even suggesting that she had escaped the confines of the palace and had run away. A few months later, though, the princess emerged, and no one was convinced it was really her. Soon, a new theory came into play: the body double theory. Theorists claimed that the person who emerged from the palace wasn't the missing princess, but rather a body double. Kate's footage emerged online, and one amateur sleuth took it into his own hands to uncover the alleged truth. The truth, of course, was actually the theory that this was a paid and well-known professional impersonator. But there was absolutely no evidence suggesting that this was the case, and it was among the many false rumors that were hyped up by social media users. The body double claim soon racked up over 12 million views on Twitter and over 11 million on TikTok. In a sad turn of events, it was revealed that Kate Middleton had been diagnosed with cancer. But even with this heartbreaking revelation, the conspiracy theorists pressed on. They then switched to accusing the princess of not really having cancer, and that the doctors had only found pre-cancerous cells in her system. Self-proclaimed social media doctors alleged that she'd faked the details of the disease. But to what gain? It comes as no surprise that Princess of Pop Britney Spears is at the center of a wide variety of conspiracy theories. Her career began at the age of just 2 years old when she competed in talent shows. At the age of 8, she was auditioning to be in a Mickey Mouse television show. She would soon begin appearing in Broadway plays, and not long after that started producing songs. Her transcendence to fame was set in stone from there. Justin Timberlake, the American singer, songwriter, actor, and producer, was thrown into the mix along with Britney in this outlandish conspiracy theory that took social media by storm. The theory instilled shock in fans across the world once they got word of it. Britney and Timberlake had been involved in a fatal car wreck. The theory came about when a pair of San Jose-based DJs, Kramer and Twitch, reported on the Extreme Nighttime radio show that the two had been involved in a car wreck that left Britney deceased and Timberlake in a coma. Despite having not aired on legitimate news outlets, the rumors spread throughout the nation, morphing into an internet conspiracy theory. This report triggered numerous panicked phone calls to be made to Los Angeles authorities. Chat rooms and fan sites began to buzz with reports of how the accident had happened. Apparently, the celebrities had been heading down a Los Angeles freeway, traveling at more than 100 miles per hour, when they seemingly crashed, ending Britney's life with the supposed empty flask that was found near the wreckage. A spokesman for the LA Police Department revealed that fire officials, the police, and local hospitals spent the evening answering phone calls from distraught fans and reporters. The two DJs who initiated the rumor are known for their poor behavior, and have even been fined for using expletives and suspended for suggesting that motorists run over cyclists. 2 days after the supposed accident, the couple were seen very much alive. The crash had never taken place. In fact, the two weren't even near each other that evening. Britney had been working on her new album and was in great health in LA, while Timberlake was out touring with his band in Philadelphia. Once Timberlake had gotten word of this wild conspiracy theory, he called Britney to find out what had happened. The two had gotten word of the theory at the same time. While both celebrities routinely deal with fans and attention given their careers, they were still upset by this outlandish rumor, which had also affected their families. Timberlake had 6 phone calls made to him from different family members who were concerned for his well-being. Social media users had begun settling down, but some still asked if the accident was true on various social media platforms, including Reddit. The story of the crash was entirely made up, and the 2 disc jockeys have since been fired from the show. The conspiracy theories, though, didn't end there and only instilled new ones. Fans began to suggest that the accident had happened, but that Timberlake wasn't in the car. They claimed that Britney did lose her life and was replaced by an artificially intelligent clone, and referred to images of the star on her wedding day. An Instagram page called Britney Is Not Free, which is in reference to the Free Britney movement, shared a video in which AI was used to enhance the image of the singer on her wedding day. The original image was blurry, but featured the star wearing her wedding dress and smiling. The AI photo generator adapted the image to make it clear, leaving fans divided as to whether or not it really is her or if it's an artificial intelligence clone. They explained that her eye color was wrong and that she had a different nose and teeth. There was no convincing fans that this was the real Britney. While some maintained that this was a robotic clone, others suggested that this was a human clone or a body double. TikTok users alleged that Britney's body shape altered between posts in reference to her Instagram clips where she's seen singing and dancing. Concerned fans have also pointed out that her wrist tattoo seems to change in each clip. While many accepted the idea that she was replaced following the rumored car wreck, others thought that the swap might have come the previous year when the singer deactivated her Instagram account. Britney had spoken of the traumatizing effects that social media could have, and subsequently deactivated the account, but she reactivated it sometime later. But there was a clear change in her presentation. The captions on her posts became shorter, prompting some to believe that she wasn't the one in control of it anymore, and nor was she in control of herself. The existence of the Illuminati can be traced back to the 15th century. It referred to an organization or group that claimed to be unusually enlightened. Despite being a vastly different group of people in historical times, modern-day descriptions depict them as a shadowy society and accuse them of controlling the world, taking on more of a cult-like impression. Various high-up figures are rumored to be part of the Illuminati, and the group is running world politics and government-related aspects. Conspiracy theories involving the elite have been in circulation for ages. Numerous celebrities have found themselves at the center of such suggestions, ranging from Illuminati initiations to being co-leaders of the modern organization. Theorists have developed a list of stars who they believe are in the shadowy organization, and refer to them as A-list members, citing supposed evidence in songs and online images. Beyoncé and her partner Jay-Z found themselves at the top of the list of supposed leaders of this society. Theorists point to hand symbols in some of Beyoncé's music videos, and if she's the queen of the Illuminati, that makes Jay-Z the king. He was rumored to be involved in society ever since he held up his Rock Nation hand sign, with his flat palm and made a triangular hand shape. The rumors pressed on despite him denying the allegations on the Rick Ross track called Freemason. In 2014, Madonna released a song named after the 17th century organization on an album called Rebel Heart. Many believed that the lyrics to the song revealed her involvement in the society, as well as its modern-day existence. The singer later clarified that she was referring to the earlier meaning of the word, which was enlightened. Whether this was her intention or not, the word was dropped much too casually and certainly attracted unwanted attention. Unsurprisingly, Katy Perry finds herself on the list as well. Proof can be found in her music video for Dark Horse. It included the Eye of Horus, a clear reference to the all-seeing eye, an alleged symbol of the Illuminati. Her 2014 Grammy Awards performance also made use of occult symbolism, which prompted further accusations. One accusation was made by the radio personality Alex Jones, who claimed that she was an Illuminati priestess who was conducting witchcraft rituals before live audiences. Will Smith's assault on Chris Rock was viewed as an initiation ritual by many conspiracy theorists, placing both celebrities in the Illuminati. Kesha also made various symbolic references to the society, with the cult symbols and the all-seeing eye. Adding fuel to the fire is the eye tattoo that she has on her hand, and the fact that she admitted to being an Illuminati leader in an interview with Rolling Stone. Another alleged A-list member was Michael Jackson. Some believe that he revealed too much inside information, forcing the secret society to end his life. Rihanna also appears to meet all the criteria that placed her in the infamous group, including holding her hand over one eye on the cover of Rated R and using pyramid-shaped hand symbols in her music videos. She's been called the Princess of the Illuminati, which even appeared on one of her videos. Eminem was unable to evade the list too, and one way to get into society supposedly is to make a pact with Satan. Eminem allegedly sold his soul to the organization in exchange for fame and talent. Among the Illuminati A-list are the most successful celebrities of the modern day, whose work is often discredited and attributed to their involvement in a society that leading conspiracy theorists believe controls the world. John F. Kennedy was the 35th President of the United States. It was this president who faced various foreign crises, but also managed to secure achievements such as the Nuclear Test Ban Treaty and the Alliance for Progress. In 1963, while riding in a motorcade in Dallas through a crowd of onlookers, he was assassinated. His passing caused a worldwide shock. The heartbreak that was felt across the globe, though, did not deter conspiracy theorists. Kennedy found himself at the center of a rather unique idea. It posited that the president didn't really meet his end in Dallas. Theorists don't discount the fact that he was assassinated, but they do rule out that he succumbed to his injuries. According to them, Kennedy sustained a severe head wound and was shipped to a secret nursing home where he would live out the remainder of his days. Some suggest that this alleged private nursing home is in South America, New York, or Canada. Oddly, this same theory was applied to Elvis Presley upon his passing. It was alleged that he was sent to the same nursing home as the president and even shared a room with him. Skeptics argue against this by presenting the exact extent of the injury that Kennedy sustained that fateful day. This only prompted theorists to find an alternative, this time suggesting a clone. The man who rode in the motorcade was not President John F. Kennedy, but rather someone who looked just like him. This was all a planned act controlled by Lyndon B. Johnson. Kennedy, according to the theory, was diagnosed with an incurable disease and needed to be taken out of the spotlight and placed in a secret nursing home. The CIA therefore staged the assassination under the command of Johnson, the 36th President of the United States. Strangely, in support of this theory is that just 1 hour and 39 minutes later, Johnson was sworn in as president. Other conspiracy theories revolving around the assassination pointed to a mob hit. According to theories, the Kennedy family were not strangers to organized crime, and suggested that the mafia had even helped JFK steal the 1960 elections by securing votes in the state of Illinois. The theory that the mob was involved in the assassination hinged on the fact that the president had failed to overthrow Fidel Castro. This meant that the mafia-run casinos were still shut down, and brother Robert Kennedy was cracking down on the mob by pursuing Jimmy Hoffa. According to a biographer, Robert even feared that he was the one who got his brother assassinated. The theory posits that his attempts to prosecute the mob backfired in a terrible way and landed on JFK. A more frightening suggestion placed the government at the center of it. The theory that the assassination was an inside job began to do the rounds, and according to a different biographer, Robert's suspicions fell on a rogue element within the CIA. The Central Intelligence Agency has various conspiracy theories attached to their name, so it comes as no surprise that they were blamed for the assassination. Another outlandish theory pointed the finger at Ted Cruz's father, and it was found out he was known to associate with Lee Harvey Oswald, and the two had been together prior to Oswald's assassination. The previously unsealed documents are making their way into the public eye, with the NARA processing the withheld records of the JFK incident. We may finally be able to put some of these conspiracy theories to rest and find out what really happened that fateful day. Suri Cruise is the daughter of actress Katie Holmes and actor Tom Cruise. Following in her parents' footsteps, she became a young actress, starring in films such as Alone Together and Rare Objects. Ever since her birth in 2006, Suri's had the spotlight on her, and even her very first conspiracy theory. Many believed that she wasn't real, doubting her existence. The theories came after the post-pregnancy secrecy, but after the release of the first family photos, the internet was plagued with otherworldly rumors. Even today, Suri Cruise, who's now 18 years old, finds herself being looked at with intrigue and raised eyebrows, with some believing that she's an alien. Theorists point to her supposed alien appearance and her parents' penchant for doing and saying pretty odd things. Rumors of her extraterrestrial origins were in circulation prior to her birth. This was because of her father's connection to Scientology. Some believe that he and other Scientologists had made contracts with extraterrestrials, which resulted in the conception of Suri. Her calm, collected, and intelligent demeanor also paints her as a being who's not from this world. According to some, her striking eyes and appearance are consistent with those of an alien life force. Theorists also reference her advanced vocabulary and her composure amidst the chaos. Adding support to the alien origin claim is Tom Cruise's obsession with security for his daughter, especially when she was younger. There was even a conspiracy in circulation that a body double or even a clone was being used to ensure that the real Suri was safe, which only fueled the idea that she wasn't a human being, but was of extraterrestrial origins. Many believe that the use of a body double is to ensure her safety and hide her true origins, but aside from the mention of a supposed body double, an obsessive father, her striking appearance, and unique intelligence, theorists don't have much supporting evidence for the claim. David Bowie was a British singer-songwriter and actor who rose to prominence in the 1970s. He served as a transitional figure in rock history. He gave us the famous songs Under Pressure, Starman, Life on Mars, and Ashes to Ashes. Bowie also predicted the coming of Kanye West. At least, this is what conspiracy theorists believe. The music industry is filled to the brim with crazy coincidences, the Illuminati, and purported cover-ups. Bowie seemed to evade all of this, but was deemed a psychic instead. The theory was traced back to 2007 when a blog emerged online. It aimed to reveal a conspiracy that ties Bowie and American rapper Kanye West together. The theory posits that Bowie predicted the birth of West and prophesied him as a musical messiah. The evidence, of course, can be found on the cover of the fifth studio album, The Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust, and The Spiders from Mars. The evidence becomes immediately clear with the sign overhead that clearly reads K West. While this may be nothing more than a coincidence, theorists believe that it's strange nonetheless, and is a clear indicator that the theory may be legitimate. Taking it one step further is the opening track of this album, titled 5 Years. 5 years after the track was released, West was born. The theory doesn't stop there either. 2 years following the release of the album in 1974, Bowie was interviewed by the Rolling Stone. In the interview, he states that as soon as Ziggy's life ends on stage, the infinite takes the elements and makes themselves visible. Fans believe that this statement was a nod to Kanye West. Upon the singer's passing, West became one of the first people to share his condolences publicly. Some have also credited the final studio album as further evidence, suggesting that it refers to the rapper. Despite this stretch, they then point to another track. This time it appears third on the list. It was titled Lazarus, and the song centers around a biblical character that was brought back to life by Jesus. Years later, West gave us Yeezus. This conspiracy essentially suggests that Bowie knew that West would one day exist, and even rise to fame, and decided to refer to this prophecy through songs and album covers. Aside from these mere coincidences, though, there's not much to support the claims in the form of concrete proof. Stephen King is the famed American novelist and short story writer. His books revived horror fiction in the later 20th century. King was known for his blend of horror, science fiction, and the macabre. His books were so popular that they were almost guaranteed to be adapted into films or television series. Serving as a stark contrast against the famed author is John Lennon, the British musician. He was the co-leader of the revolutionary rock group The Beatles. It comes as no surprise that Lennon finds himself embedded in yet another conspiracy theory, given the circumstances and mystery surrounding his untimely passing. But what does the Reverend novelist have to do with the passing of a British musician with whom he supposedly had no relation? Well, in 1980, Lennon was fatally wounded outside of his New York City home. A man named Mark David Chapman confessed at the scene because he wanted the fame so badly that he was willing to give anything to get it, including taking the life of another man. Despite this confession, though, many fans weren't convinced that Chapman was the man behind the crime. Rumors sprouted from every corner of every platform about the fatality. Many have suggested that the CIA brainwashed Chapman in an effort to conceal who the perpetrator was. The theorists spun the wheel of possible suspects, and it landed on King. Could this horror writer's books become a reality with this ludicrous conspiracy theory? The conspiracy that King took Lennon's life first appeared in 2013 and was found in an unlikely source, the New York Magazine. The magazine claimed that by the order of Richard Nixon, the 37th President of the United States, and Ronald Reagan, the 40th President, Lennon was assassinated. It was alleged that these two presidents had been communicating with the writer through magazines. In 1999, King was run over by a vehicle, which theorists believe was somehow all part of the cover-up. Doubters, though, found no evidence as to why the magazine would make such an outlandish claim about the novelist, and required some more information. Theorists pointed out that King and Chapman shared a striking resemblance at the time, and the perpetrator just stood at the scene waiting to be picked up, knowing that nothing serious was going to happen to him. But what motive would Reagan and Nixon have for wanting Lennon assassinated in the first place? It turns out, according to theorists, that they wanted him and his pro-peace politics out of the way. Apparently, the presidents used encoded magazine articles to egg him on. Examples of such articles, though, are scarce. The flimsy conspiracy also worked out King's motive for wanting to take the musician's life, and it relates to both the Shining novel and a lyric that comes from one of Lennon's songs. Lennon's song was Instant Karma, and in The Shining, one of the lyrics of the song makes its way into the scramble of words almost hidden. It suggested that the writer feared retribution and opted to defend his career in a way that was urged by the voices of the US presidents. This odd conspiracy isn't just one that found itself rumored across social media, but was also one of the few that found physical manifestation. It took the form of an ominous yellow vehicle that drove around littered with words relating to the conspiracy, including the phrase Nixon, Reagan, Stephen King conspiracy. It also urged King to repent and that he should be jailed for the homicide of Lennon. In the early 90s, the driver appeared outside a local bookstore in Portland, where an autograph session was underway. The man had various sandwich boards that depicted supposed proof that the novelist had fatally wounded the musician in an effort to convince everyone that Stephen King ended the life of John Lennon. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to hit that like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell to keep up to date with all of our future uploads. But my name is Ty Knotts, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.